Stewey is absent. Mr. DeLeo is absent. Mr. Donahue?
Present.
Mr. O'Day?
Here.
Mr. Schmidt?
Here.
Mr. Sullivan?
Here.
Mrs. Mayor?
Here.
Notice of this meeting was provided to the Bernardsville News, Courier News, and the Star Ledger, filed with the municipal clerk, and posted on the municipal bulletin board on December 12, 2017. All rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, we're going to move some things around tonight in the interest of everyone coming out this evening at dinner time. So I know why everybody is here, and we understand that. There's nobody in town, including the people sitting up here, that wants this proposed, I don't know what the tonnage was, 100 tons of waste brought through town. This was done in a way, I was the only person on council that's up here tonight back in 2015. I don't recall it even a little bit. The way sometimes this works is when these things come up, this is not something the council just decides on. We send it to our planning board, who tries to see if all these proposals that go on in town are consistent with our master plan. We did this, and I guess after review, they decided that it was. And I'm going to give someone from the planning board opportunity to talk for a minute. That being said, we understand, the way I found out about this, not to sound like a former administration, but I found out about this on the bubble. I know a lot of you did. And it was as surprising to me as it was to everybody else. So I see some people here from the planning board. Does anyone want to maybe say a few words about it? Terry, I see you smiling. You want to come up maybe?
If you promise it's not, you know, that I'm not going to get ridden out of town on a rail. I'm Terry Thompson. I live at 79 Mine Mount Road, and I'm vice chair of the planning board. I've served on the planning board since 1998. In 1995, I believe, we settled some litigation with the then existing quarry, and one of the products of that was the first definition of the industrial zone that's in our zoning code. And that first definition allowed for recycling facilities for concrete, trees, tree parts, asphalt, and soil. And when this request to try to bring the zoning code up to date with the DEP definitions of these various kinds of facilities came to the council, they sent it to us, and we didn't think it was all that inconsistent with what we already had. And so, and we went through, there were several redrafts of how to put it together, and then it came to the council in the normal course of business, and there was an introduction of the ordinance change and the public hearing and the opportunity to be heard and a vote. And that was sort of the last we heard of it until the application I mean, this is not inconsistent, this application, with what we were told about in 2015. They were always proposing a materials recycling facility to accept less than 100 tons a day, which is what it says in our ordinance. To me, the major change in the intervening time is the traffic in Bernardsville, and I guess that's all. I mean, I have some thoughts about things that could be said in terms of comments to the DEP, but that's kind of the genesis of the zoning ordinance in the industrial zone, which, by the way, allows a lot of other industrial uses, processing of stone, trees, tree parts, rock products, bulk storage, wholesale, warehousing, storage. There are several users in the industrial zone who are using it to store automobiles and who deliver loads of new automobiles and keep their inventory there. Self-storage facilities is the only thing that I remember in my 20 years that has ever caused a difficulty for the planning board, and that was in 2000, 1999. But is there anything, that's all I can, I mean, that's sort of the background as I know it.
Nobody else that's here tonight was on council then, except for Jeff, who's out. I can say for myself that if, I guess, we knew of the size and scope of what we're hearing now, I can go on record and say, I know I wouldn't have approved that then. I don't know that we were, as a council, me personally, I know I didn't understand it to be that size and scope. It was brought to us as a recycling option that no one ever mentioned tonnage every day, 7 days a week. So I think that's everybody's concern. Does that sound like what everyone's under? Yes. Right. So that being said, this is going to have to be something that I tonight want to put together and with a vote and a motion to direct our council, our borough council, to our borough attorney, sorry, to draft an ordinance rescinding 15-1699.
Well, if you want to follow in the shoes of British Township,
She was saying we're going to follow the shoes of Bernardsville Township.
Oh, well, a little different there.
I would say, yeah.
That being said, that would be something, do you recommend, Jack, that that's something that maybe after we have a private session, closed session, that we could discuss and the ramifications of that and see if we can't come up in another meeting with the public, put it on another agenda where we can bring our findings forward then, instead of making everyone wait here tonight?
Yes, I would discuss it in closed session.
But it can also go to the zoning board, too.
That's correct. That's correct. The ordinance you do, it is the Board of Adjustment, that's correct.
Okay. All right, good. Nobody wants this. We don't want it. I'm sure everyone out there wants it. In the sake of not having 3 minutes for every person here tonight and going till 2 a.m., this is why I wanted to say this first, to get everybody's blood pressure down a little bit. That being said, we can have, I'll say, a small open session. We don't need 30 people saying the same thing. So if there's a few people that want to come up and give their opinion for the record, I'm glad to open that up now.
Is anybody in favor of it? Don't all rush out.
Yeah.
So, Chris, is it appropriate that I just read this instead of having people come up?
I didn't read it, so I can't, what is this from?
This is a collection of the comments that we received.
Councilman O'Day is handing me some information that consists of, what? Tell me again?
What I summarized from what we heard from the comments that people emailed us and the comments that were received to the survey that was done online, the change.org petition.
Okay.
It's my summarization of what I heard.
Okay. I have no objection if you want to read it.
I just wonder if it would preempt a lot of the comments that some of the comments we heard over and over again from people,
Right. Yeah. Okay.
Do you want to take time to read it? I don't want to,
I'm just summarizing real quick. Jack, any problem with that?
No.
Go ahead.
So the Bernardsville Borough meeting on August 13th, the item 10K is for a solid waste facility permit, initial permit, solid waste transfer station / material recovery facility. That's the facility ID number 778232, permit number TRP 180001. So the solid waste transfer station generated an outpouring of concern from residents. One resident started an online petition over the weekend, and in about 48 hours received over 600 signatures. Citizens have also sent email messages and made phone calls voicing concern, and to date, feedback has almost universally been that of concern, opposition over this proposal. In addition, the Bernardsville Environmental Commission has written a letter to the mayor and the borough highlighting concerns and additional questions. A copy of that is attached to this, which I'll give to Anthony for the record. The questions surrounded the hours of operation, 16 hours a day, 7 days a week. It was noted that other facilities in other towns process significantly more material in terms of tonnage and operate on like a 7-hour-a-day schedule and only 3.5 hours on the weekend. There are environmental concerns that were raised. There was a concern that unapproved materials may find their way into the stream with the Type 13 and Type 13C waste that's proposed to be processed, and that there's only 7 DEP inspectors for the entire northern region of the state of New Jersey. Those DEP inspectors would be tasked with inspecting this site among other sites. As materials are brought in from work sites, there doesn't appear to be a process to prevent inappropriate or dangerous material from entering the process of the incoming material, so that before it gets to the site, there doesn't seem to be in the application a process to filter out any inappropriate incoming materials. It was noted that anybody with personal experience on a job site knows that all types of trash generated from work site tends to end up in the closest dumpster. There was concerns about odor, dust, and water. The area is not on city water, so issues involving water contamination could be more serious and harder to contain. The ability to prevent harmful chemicals and other materials from entering the watershed was a concern to people. The application indicates that the application itself indicates that there's no plan to contain stormwater runoff that's external to the interior space of the building. Noise, besides the normal dumping and hauling operations, the applicant has asked for a wood grinding operation and a baling operation. From the noise study in the application, they included actual real-world measurements of either 1 or 2 trucks moving around the site, and those were the only real-world measurements that are in the noise study. The noise study did not include tipping, loading, processing, or the utilization of any heavy equipment specified in the application. The heavy equipment that's in the application includes a straight boom, a wheel loader, grappler, a baler, and a tub grinder, and only hypothetical paper assessments were made about the noise from those items. There are about 100 homes within a quarter-mile radius of the proposed location, and some of the closest homes are less than 500 feet away. There's hundreds of homes within a half-mile radius of the proposed location, and there's perhaps as many as 1,000 homes that are in a 1-mile radius. The 1-mile radius was identified in the application. Noise from this operation could degrade the quality of life and the property values of the closest neighbors, and it could have an additional indirect impact on all property values in Bernardsville. There's a traffic study. The traffic and the pedestrian safety are top of mind. They're traveling northbound on Route 202. The heart of Bernardsville downtown is just 2,000 feet away. There's a highly utilized Little League field on Old Quarry Road. There are 10 pedestrian crosswalks within 1 mile of the intersection of Old Quarry Road and Route 202. And many of these crosswalks are utilized on a daily basis by Bernardsville students. Shoppers and diners use these crosswalks extensively. Commuters use these crosswalks to and from our historic train station. The traffic study in the application only addresses the impact of traffic on the intersection at Old Quarry Road and Route 202. Impacts on crosswalks in town and the downtown shopping area were not examined. The traffic study suggests that 33 trucks per day will enter the facility and 33 trucks per day will exit the facility 7 days a week. The traffic study assumes that 25 of these truck transits will travel through the heart of Bernardsville, Alcott Square, and then past King's and the ShopRite shopping centers. Furthermore, the borough is actively working to increase the walkability of our downtown and the desirability of our existing and new businesses. Traffic and trucks are already a concern, and increasing these would be counterproductive with our goals. This was the input from many people. The proposed traffic pattern assumes that more than half the truck traffic will follow a prescribed route traveling south on Route 202 through Far Hills and Bedminster to Route 206 and I-287. In reality, we have to expect that vehicles traveling to the north or coming in from the north will head through the heart of downtown Bernardsville. When approaching the north or departing to the north, any vehicle that uses GPS will not be provided the truck route, but GPS will route them through our downtown. Furthermore, we already know from real-world experience that the establishment of a truck route, which purports to avoid our downtown, is never 100% effective. Finally, the steady truck traffic and heavy haulers will degrade our roads and potentially cost us more in our infrastructure budget. Emergency response was highlighted as an issue as the location has only a single entrance and exit and crosses a railroad track, which could inhibit fire, police, or other safety personnel in case of emergency. And there were concerns about other potential uses of the quarry location, which might be more desirable. And would approval of this prevent those? Those were a summary of the majority of the concerns for people. So as we were discussing, I think that the council would like to move forward, or do we want to go to a short open session?
Well, we have a presentation that we typically do before we do the open session. Just by a quick show of hands, how many people still want to have a word to say during open session? Anybody? Okay, so there's 2 or 3. Let's do that, and then we'll circle back around. It's a little different. Can we do that without issue?
Yes.
Jack, no problem. Okay. So at this point in the meeting, the mayor and council welcome comments from any member of the public to help facilitate an orderly meeting and to permit the opportunity for anyone who wishes to be heard. Speakers shall limit their comments to 5 minutes. In reading from a prepared statement, please provide a copy and also email a copy to the clerk's office after making your comments so it may be properly reflected in the minutes.
Mary Jane Canos, Autumn Hill Road. I, like most of these people here, certainly don't want to see this happen. My concern is if you rescind the amended ordinance after the application has been filed, does that leave us open for liability? That maybe there's a different way dealing with the DEP rather than trying to change the ordinance.
This is what we want to discuss, and I think...
Discuss in closed session.
Right.
That'd be a closed session.
Right,
Okay.
and while there is always the opportunity for someone to come in and say that's, not done the right way, we're going to sue you, it's something we have to weigh. Again, I don't think the scope of this was ever relayed to the council in the way it should have been. Otherwise, I don't think anyone would have been for it.
Excuse me, they also have an administrative remedy. They can go before, it's just site plan, but this will probably be a use variance, so they can go before the zoning board. So they do have an
So they
administrative
could
remedy
go
before they sue us.
different process?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Jeff Hammond, 18 Flintlock Court. Thank you for shortening the meeting and for being so forthright in terms of expressing everybody's feelings. I just wanted to add a couple of points that maybe I missed them, but I didn't hear in Mr. O'Day's comments. One is that the letter from the DEP is not inclusive in the sense that it doesn't restrict it to category 13C in 13 material. It says including 13 and 13C, which means it's open to anything, really. And that's really dangerous, and I think that's something we have to point out, is that once this becomes activated, they could put anything into that site.
Hazardous chemicals and things like that, too?
It sounds specific. It says, well, I don't have it with me, but you could read it. It says it's up to, quote, including 13 and 13C. So that implies that other things are available.
Okay.
The other thing, too, is that, and as a physician, I was particularly concerned about the question of asbestos. And if you look at the 1992 court decision about the BQI versus Bernardsville, and that was related to the depth of the quarry. But the discussion of the court at that time went into great detail about the public nuisance related to environmental hazards, and they dwelled on asbestos. And so if we now have 30, 50, however many trucks are going in and out of that area, that's going to kick up a lot of soil disruption, a lot of dust. And unless that has been completely devoid of asbestos, that creates another health hazard. And then lastly, there's the whole question of opportunity cost. If we're thinking about affordable housing, and if we ever wanted to use that site in some fashion, we've now lost that forever. And then the last thing I want to make, my last comment, and this goes to Mary Jane's comments, is we do have a remedy as citizens to write directly to the DEP. I would encourage everybody who's prepared remarks for tonight to just incorporate them into your letter to DEP. The deadline for that is September 4th.
September
4th.
I think that's an important point that Mr. Hammond made, because this isn't this point in the process, if I can be clear on this, Anthony, is the DEP has asked the borough for input back to the DEP. So it isn't. This is not a. This particular point in the process is not us gathering the feedback, but the feedback is supposed to be sent to the DEP.
Right. That's what the letter asked for.
That's right.
But part of their application, they have to have an approved use before you can comment. So if we're rescinding it, then it negates the application.
Yeah, basis for rescindment, we'll talk about this in closed session. It can be quite varied, but I don't think anything was really, again, the scope and was not relayed to council, and otherwise.
Especially that, as Terry pointed out, a lot of intervening events too in the interim.
True. Anybody else? Sir? You're next.
You made my wife nervous when I do this. Hi, my name is Rich Heimson. That's my wife, Patty. Relax, Patty. So I had the question. It said that trucks would arrive and deposit, and then trucks would receive and remove. Does that mean that everything that's deposited would be removed daily, or will anything be sitting on site for whatever period of time? Will there be material left over for a day, a week, a couple of weeks, or is everything that's dumped that day removed that evening? If there's stuff that remains on site that has been dumped and not removed for a little while, what's that going to attract?
Have you been over to the facility now?
I'm sorry?
Have you visited like their facility now?
Yeah, we had something over in the what's the name of that place? Not that Lakewood, but yeah, we used the storage areas over there, yes.
There's a lot of things that run around you can't even identify.
Yeah. Can I add one last thing?
Sure.
Yes.
Prior to what I do now, I'm a teacher, I'm a physics teacher. I was actually, I worked for an engineering firm, an environmental engineering firm, and we did trash transfer stations. And I don't know if they've done a noise study, but we built a station down in Kearney on the peninsula. And if they haven't done a noise study, having been at a trash transfer station, I can tell you the noise. We dolphined things from New York across, and we took out sludge from New York and other stuff to Kearney. If you've been to the peninsula of Kearney, it's not a place you want to visit. It was polluted with chromium on the ground and some heavy metals on the ground as a result of the transfer stations. And it was just noisy 24 hours a day.
Yeah, I don't doubt it. Sir?
Hello, I'm Jeff Horowitz, 11 Laurel Lane, Bernardsville. Another issue that ought to be considered at the facility, in addition to the truck traffic, is emissions from the trucks. Diesel trucks are fairly serious emitters of particulate matter and other fumes. When these facilities operate, the trucks don't arrive well spaced throughout the day. They come in as they come in, and they have to queue up while they wait to tip. That means you can have a significant number of trucks standing there with their engines idling. Even if they're not supposed to idle, truck drivers leave them idling. And you'll have a fair amount of air emissions coming out from that site, which are uncontrolled and not even reported. So there's an additional aspect of air pollution that you ought to consider. I'd like to urge the council to submit comments on behalf of the town by this, September 4th. And I think we should also reach out to both our legislative representatives and our Board of Freeholders to see if they can do anything. Perhaps they can take a look at what the amendments they made to the solid waste disposal plan and in considering whether this is a proper site for that facility. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, my name is Janice Virtue, 17 Childsworth Avenue. Thank you, first of all, for allowing the public to speak first. I do have one, when you said that this site was in zone for industrial use, you mentioned certain things, but it doesn't sound like those things were quite as bad as what we think is going to happen if this will pass. Because when you look at the 13 and the 13C allowances to go in that property, it's far, far worse than anything that you mentioned. I would also like to urge our council, you know, we all live in this town. We all want to keep our property values up. We want good quality of life. And this is not conducive to that. So I would urge you to fight this tooth and nail, even if it requires a lawsuit, because, you know, you're representing the town. You're representing all of us. And we need to think about the health and safety and welfare. I mean, I think that's what you're all charged with here. So I would urge you to really, really fight this. Thank you.
Thank you.
Excuse me, can I ask a question? It sounds like there's a radio on in the background or something.
Live streaming meeting. 'Cause there's all
Out there?
stairs. They're all stairs.
Thank you.
It's all the way to the firehouse.
on the stairs.
Okay,
Thank you.
okay. Anybody else? We'll take one or two more to see. Anybody?
I think if we covered it, we can
Yeah,
move on.
okay. All right, with that, I'll close the open session. Thank you, everybody, for coming out tonight. We're going to continue with the rest of the meeting. You're welcome to stay if you'd like. We'll be getting back to you once we have our closed session, speaking with our attorney, and seeing where this goes. Once again, I think we're all on the same page. All right. Thank you. Okay, presentations. 4A, we have the Planning Subcommittee Downtown Survey. Bonnie Sellers is here tonight to discuss that with us. Oh. You know, okay. We're gonna take a 3-minute recess while everyone clears out, okay? Okay, we're going to continue with number 4 presentations, the Planning Subcommittee Downtown Survey. Bonnie, you want to?
Yes, hi, I'm Bonnie Sellers, 140 Post Kennel Road. Well, I think after the beginning session here, there could be nothing better than to talk about the wonderful opportunities that our downtown has. And we won't start with how we're upset about our property values. We'll talk about how we're going to invigorate the downtown. So, as many of you know, we were appointed by the mayor. There's a committee of us. Paul and Sam are going to introduce themselves. And we also have Mary Kellogg and Pat Bosworth, who aren't here tonight. And Jeff Horowitz is going to be working with us as well. So this is a committee that the mayor appointed in December. And the first thing we did was we put together the survey. I hope everyone in this room took the survey or knows about the survey. And the survey, we had enormous response, which was great, which created our mandate for how we were going to move forward with the revitalization of the downtown. Following the survey on March 24th, we had an open meeting to discuss the results and also to have a visioning session where members of the community would come forward and give their comments. We're going to give a little bit of a review of that in a minute. But first, I just wanted to be sure we're on the same page and say a little bit about what our mission is and our goals and mandate. So our mission is, one, to formulate a vision to redevelop the downtown into a place where families can enjoy it during the day and adults can enjoy it at night and where businesses can thrive. Our goal is to create plans for the revitalization of the downtown in sections in such a way so that private enterprise can effectuate those goals, those plans. If that doesn't happen, we'll be back to the council with requests for government action. That's not where we are today. And finally, our mandate is evidenced by the survey that we had, that the broad brush of the community feels that our property values are declining and we need to revitalize the downtown in order to have a more vibrant community.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Bonnie. Paul Sedlak, 5 Charlotte Hill Drive. Here as a resident, member of the committee, but I also sit on the zoning board in town. So thank you, Bonnie, for chairing our team and pushing us hard. This has been a passion for us, and there's just so many great ingredients that we have in the downtown that are underutilized and untapped. But what was really clear to us is when we did the survey. So I'm just going to recap for you some highlights of the survey. So I'm going to read off to you 65 pages in that report. No, I'm not doing that. But we did publish the outcomes of the survey. What was amazing about the survey, and multiple planners who are professional at this were amazed at the response rate that we got from this borough. The results were strong. We had over 1,100 responses to the survey. That's nearly 50% of the households responded to us. Out of those surveys, there was over 4,400 written comments. I don't know about you, I don't know how many times I take a survey, I answer the questions, and I don't take the time to do a comment. The folks and merchants were passionate about this to give us feedback to say this is important. I'm going to spend more time on this, I'm going to be thoughtful, and I'm going to give you feedback. What was amazing out of the feedback was its consistency. It was remarkably consistent across all demographics, all different age groups, that we need to take action. So it was clear. And just to go back to what Bonnie was saying about the mandate and the mission of our team, our goal here is to come up with the vision and the plans to create the environment by which merchants and businesses can succeed. All right? So by creating that environment, they can succeed. When they succeed, we all thrive. By creating an environment that our residents and children and other merchants can enjoy, they will also, it's a nice positive circle to make it a destination as to what needs to happen. What came out clear in the survey, and what we also learned from our planners, is that times they have changed. Right? In the 70s, thriving. In the 1980s, big box stores started coming in. The Home Depots, the Best Buys, and so on and so forth. That started changing things. Oh, at the same time, malls started coming in. Our downtown survived those things. We did okay. But then as you get into the 90s and the 2000s, what started happening? The dot-com era kicked in. And the Amazon started kicking in. It started changing the way people shop. And then now you've got a different demographic coming through, the millennials. They're not like us baby boomers. The millennials want a different experience, right? They want to live, they want to play where they live. They want their downtown to be an experience. And you can see that delineation was the only deviation we had. And if you think about it, and if you think about our town as a product, and we're talking about our real estate values, you got to connect the dots. How do we create an environment that is desirable? People want to be there. If it's people want to be there, then your values will go up. All right? Sam's going to talk about some of the impacts we've had that we're seeing in the real estate. And folks, it's real and irrefutable. When we asked the question of, hey, do you think revitalizing the downtown is important? 98% of the respondents said it's important. 50 said extremely important, 32 said very important, 16% said very somewhat important. So 98% of the respondents said you got to do something. Strong response, a lot of handwritten comments, and everyone was strongly saying we have to do something. Times we need to change. Some highlights from the survey. All right, as we said, 98% change the town. We have to revitalize it, and we have to create a product and environment for the future buyers of our homes, and to make it more desirable. It's making it more experience-oriented. A resounding 79% support regulating the aesthetics of storefront facades, signage, lighting, and landscape. 94% architectural appeal is a large or vital concern. All right, we all see what's been going up in our town, and they all look different. I'm not going to cite any specific ones, but you know where they are. Right? The other part too, and this tied back to and went across the various generations. We took a look at this based on millennials, Gen Xers, baby boomers. 94% supported expanded outdoor activities, making it more of an experience, creating outdoor dining, creating markets and fairs, creating that experience type of an environment. And there are a number of things that they're talking about as a transportation hub and connecting our parking. Folks, the data was consistent and it was strong. All right? So I'm going to get off my data head side of it. Let's talk about the comments. Here's what our residents wrote verbatim. Comments that we got from the survey itself, and comments that we heard live during the visioning session that we did at the high school back in March. All right? And any comment we wrote here, it's not like it was just one comment that we cherry-picked. These were comments that came up 10 or more times. The theme was repeated. So when the theme was repeated, that's where these comments came from. And again, the report that I'm talking about that we posted as an outcome of the survey, we posted it on the borough website at the end of March. I was talking to Anthony earlier just to validate that that report is still posted. It is available for all of you to see and review. The whole model of this team is being transparent and sharing with you where we are and what we're doing, which is why we're here tonight. All right? So back to the comments. Property values in Bernardsville have plummeted. Outsiders can easily see the lack of amenities that Bernardsville offers. Next quote. It's a shame that we did not do this effort 10 or 15 years ago. You're right. Consider converting the former Audi site into a Parker Park with more parking for that area. It has been vacant a very long time, and it is a depressing site in the center of town. Route 202 entering Bernardsville needs to be tree-lined from Madisonville Road to just past the town hall. Another one. I think the car wash post office area should be leveled and apartments and or retail built there. This will help increase the tax base and economic activity for retailers in the downtown area. And that's the crux of where we want to talk about tonight. That's the Quimby Lane, Mill Street area. It's right in the center of our town, and we're going to talk about what we want that to be. So first I'm going to turn the mic over to Sam. He's going to talk to you about some of the real estate impacts, then we're going to turn it over to Bonnie to talk about our vision. Thank you.
Sam Mataluna is 160 Old Army Road, Bernardsville. That's my address. I was away last week, so I got picked to talk about the real estate crisis in Bernardsville. So recently in July of this year, Turpin did a report. They came out with a real estate market report. And the numbers of homes sold in Bernardsville compared to the same quarter a year ago has declined 31%. The average sale price has declined 14.5% from $922 to $788 from the same quarter last year. Over the last 10 years, the average home price has declined from $876 to $764. As other towns like Morristown, Chatham, and Baskin Ridge have all increased. So that's, you know, we think that revitalizing Bernardsville downtown center will help with our real estate prices. So since March 24th, when we did the study, we've been looking at many different things. We looked at Quimby Lane, pocket parks, putting trees along 202, architectural and signage ordinance, and other future places to revitalize. So that's pretty much it with the market. It's not a pretty picture. It's, you know, I don't know where this is going. So we'll turn it back to Bonnie.
So we can start by talking, you have a question?
Yeah.
That's my husband.
I never say that at home.
He had his hand up, you know. I'm going to start by talking about Quimby Lane, which we think is the first step towards revitalizing the downtown. We found the most frequent comment among the comments that were submitted by the residents in the survey was what a vibrant center it could be and what an unattractive place it is right now. There's a particular urgency in looking at this right now, and Jack can correct me, but we just passed, the council just passed, a new zoning ordinance. It was a housing overlay for affordable housing for Quimby Lane. So at this moment, there is a bonus for any developer who wants to do any kind of development on Quimby Lane. There has to be some small number of affordable housing, and then they get to do 4 stories high of other kind of housing. Right now, the architectural controls in that ordinance are very weak, and just in fairness to the planning board, of which I'm a member, and all the lawyers who were involved, we had a lot of pressure to get the ordinance done quickly. There was court action, there was state law, we had to get done quickly. There are some 60 items of amendments that Jack has a list of that we have to do at some point to polish that ordinance. But Quimby Lane is one of those. So with this zoning bonus, anyone can come in and do things that won't necessarily help our town. What we would like to talk about today, and the proposal we're putting before the council, is an integrated approach to the redevelopment of Quimby Lane. So our proposal, and we're very, very excited about it, is to engage a planning firm named Topology to do a plan and analysis for us of Quimby Lane. Topology is the planner that revitalized Morristown. They did Summit. They have extensive experience. Their principals are both planners and lawyers, and they have proposed an amazing scope of work to get us going in a very short period of time. The proposal's cost is $15,000, and it will be completed in late October, and at that time it would be presented to the planning board for consistency with the master plan. If approved today, it will be finished by the end of October. So to verify whether or not this vision that we all have for Quimby Lane is actually realistic, our committee asked Dan Lincoln to do an illustrative design for us. So Dan's plan, let's call it a cartoon, but it verifies and illustrates the immense potential of Quimby Lane. So we're just going to show some ideas. Okay, so we'll start with that. So quick and, oh, great. Okay, perfect. You have to turn around.
I am now Vanna White.
Okay, but show it to the council, please. Okay, so, okay, so quick and dirty. I don't know if you can see it, but we can walk around a little bit.
It's okay. Animated pictures.
This can be the Mine Brook if it doesn't have car parks and it doesn't have all kinds of other concrete covering it up. This could be a little European village where we're all sitting outside and there are restaurants below and there's housing above. And this could be a romantic restaurant along the brook where we're all outside with white tablecloths and candlelight, and it's a beautiful environment. So this is just a quick and dirty. After he did that, he spent very short time, but because he's brilliant, he got a lot done. He did a little plan. This is not what our planner is going to do. This is a rough plan. So just look at the blue line. This is the Mine Brook opened up. I mean, just look at all the green around it. There's potential for this to be a beautiful place to go. All of the brown are places where there could be housing with retail below. Right over here is the post office. Now that is a site that is owned by the town, totally underdeveloped, with great potential to be redeveloped because of the elevation. You could have housing above and parking below. I'm not planning this, the planner's doing it, but there's so much that could be done. Here's the Bernards Inn. We're talking about architectural consistency so that you could take the beauty of the Bernards Inn and the train station and carry that aesthetic here. Now, one of the most exciting things is that there could be a park, a pocket park here and along the road, and that park could be a place for activities. We're proposing closing the street. We will propose when it comes to the planning board at the end of October. But we're proposing closing the street at night for restaurants and adult activities, and potentially closing the street on the weekends for farmers market, for Christmas fair, for pumpkin carving, for whatever the activities are. This planner will provide a whole schedule of weekly and monthly activities if we want to energize ourselves to do it. But anyway, this is just a cartoon. So, you know, we really need to do the study. So the concept, after verifying the concept needs to be verified, and the planner is going to be studying several things I'm going to talk about in 1 minute. But I also wanted to mention an exciting thing that I hope we can take advantage of if this is approved today. The University of Pennsylvania has a great graduate school of design in architecture and planning and landscape architecture. And they've agreed to fashion a course around the public spaces of the redeveloped Quimby Lane. And this course would give us a design, well, it would give us 5 to 6 teams of students who would do a design, no cost to us. They'll get a prize from the school, financial prize, and they'll be doing great work. And we will choose the best one for the school's benefit or for our benefit. We could pick none, we could change it, we could hire somebody else, but it's a great opportunity to get, you know, the brains of the Ivy League to help us to really understand some of the details of the potential.
It'd also give us a somewhat younger look at things, too.
Mm-hmm. That's true, which would probably appeal to the millennials.
Our future buyers.
Yeah.
So here are the things that the topology proposal includes. There are 5 phases in it. The first phase is a project plan. That's getting together with a schedule with us, and we'll crack the whip to make sure that they stay on schedule. The second thing is an inventory. We need to know what's there before we can decide in a vacuum what's going to happen. So they're going to inventory who all the landowners are and what the taxes are and what the various spaces are and who has rights to whom and leases and all of those kinds of things. So we have a very detailed understanding financially and legally and spatially what's there. Then they're going to do a strategic plan. The strategic plan is going to do so much stuff that I can't believe they can afford to do it with this small amount of money. They're going to redo the zoning ordinance for the planning board and council to debate. They're going to do a model ordinance subject to, again, further debate and refinements for architectural features. They're going to do plans for and elevations on a more detailed scope than these. They're going to do a statement for us on how we can attract businesses in the Quimby Lane area. You know, what's the economic viability issues that could attract those businesses. They're going to do a weekend program events so that if we want to take the time and effort to put together a program for the weekends, we can do it. And they're going to put it in an implementation timetable. So the fourth phase is the most exciting, the implementation plan. We are a committee of nonpartisan friends and citizens and residents who really care about the town. We really want to have something done. We're not looking at politics. We're not looking at who the developers are in town. We're not looking at any stakeholders at all. So we're proposing that we will have an RFP, a request for proposal process. This request for proposal will set forth what is our vision, What is our plan? And can private enterprise come to us with the bonuses that we're offering, which is 4 stories of housing and which is somehow getting a hold of redeveloping that post office site, which is going to give somebody an opportunity to make money, including us. So we're going to give some bonuses, and there may be others that'll come about once the planners start looking at this that'll be of no cost to the borough. And then we're going to go out with the RFP and talk to either developers who are interested, but certainly talk to the current owners on Quimby Lane, and see if private enterprise will move forward on their own because they see the opportunities for our town. They see the excitement that the residents of the town will have if we can redevelop the heart of the community. So we're hoping that that will really show what's in the best interest for ourselves.
Can I add one?
Yeah, please. Oh, we should all interrupt each other.
We're like a family. We all talk over each other.
Yeah, I love it.
One of the key things I want to emphasize about this request for proposal and by having this topology firm doing it for us. 2 things. One, the founder and principal of that firm grew up and lived into his adulthood in Randolph. So he knows the area. So I want to make sure you understand that this is a person who grew up in the area, knows the area, came to Bernardsville often as a kid growing up. So he is sensitive to our culture, our environment, our style, the feel and the vibe of this town. So he's in tune and sensitive to that. So I wanted to point that out. The other thing I wanted to point out about the request for proposal, that there's a number of different ways you could be doing this. But the key is that when we define this, and we go to developers with it, it's on our terms, which is based on resident feedback. If we allow developers to go and do this, it'll be on their terms for their benefit. That's not the way we want to operate this. This is all about what came through clear, loud and clear in the survey, came through loud and clear and consistent in the visioning statement, based on your feedback and your involvement, and thank you for staying tonight for all this. But that's what's important, that we're doing this together as a community and as a town to say, here's what we want, give us your proposals, and here's our requirements. We have control.
And a request for proposal includes the format for submission. So this is not some developer talking to his friend in town, because I don't know any of those guys anyway, but that's not really going to be fair for the best process for the town. This is going to be apples to apples. Each proposal will be on the same format, will have the same spreadsheet showing the benefits to the developer and the benefits to the town, and their timetable for completion. So we hope private enterprise will step up. If they don't, we definitely have tools to have the public do this. But we're hoping that this can be effectuated quickly, and it can be done in a way that will be very exciting for all of us. In the pack that we left for the council, the planning firm just left a list of a bunch of weekend activities we could do if the street is closed on the weekends or at night. Holiday craft market, photos with Santa, farmer's market, pop-up petting zoo, water park, I mean, on and on and on. Lots and lots of fun activities that they'll help us with.
Right. And that's where, again, family jumping in, that's where we have our partners here. There's another committee here called the Downtown Bernardsville Alliance, right? I see Tim Manny over there. There's other members here that are involved with that. And this is where we're complementary parts here working together as a community. With Bonnie and our team here creating the environment to succeed, they deliver on the programs on here. We can be a really powerful set of teams here. So look forward to working with you guys more closely.
Yeah. I just wanted to give an update on the pocket parks and street trees. So we looked at 3 potential sites for a pocket park: the Audi dealer, the Bernardsville News, and Quimby Lane. We feel that if the Quimby Lane project moves forward, then the committee will not pursue other sites. We'll just have it at Quimby Lane, which we think is the best spot for it. And the other one is the shade tree. So a proposal was prepared by Brian Bosenberg on May 11th, was provided to the shade tree committee. All we're asking is that we have the council advise the shade tree committee to take a look at this and get back to us.
They haven't responded.
They haven't responded to us. So, the shade trees are important. They provide a lot of benefits, and we also got Bob Graham with the planning board recommended that we do this, and the environmental committee also recommended it. So, we feel that's a good thing to have these street trees put in, and we have the money in the funds for it, so we just want to move it along and plant some trees.
Yeah.
So Sammy, the Shade Tree Committee, you're supposed to get back to you on the feasibility of the...
We just want comments on how they would like to move forward planting trees in our streets, which is endorsed by the Environmental Commission. It was Bob Graham's idea originally from the planning board, and they just refused to respond.
Okay.
Maybe money asked them for a report in September or something?
Yeah, well, Jeff's, I think, on Shade Tree, I think.
Yeah, he said that. He is. Yeah.
There's money on the funds, and
Yeah,
I don't think they put up a tree in 4 years.
Yeah. There's money in shade tree, and there's money in open space.
I'll bring it up and see if they will get back to you.
Yeah, and same with the open space in Pocket Park. And if the open space team can respond to, help us with the Pocket Parks, right?
Yeah, help us with the pocket
Yeah,
park.
Lisa's put it on the list, on the
Have you been in
recommended.
touch with them about it?
No, we have not. No,
Okay.
we have not.
I think that might be the first step, but
Yeah,
I mean,
well,
there's
yeah.
people here from, especially...
Tom knows about it, yeah.
We did have a conversation. It wasn't formally brought before the
That is
Open Space
correct.
Committee at this point.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, we'll take this step first, and then we can always get to that.
So we're going to summarize. Here are the actions that we request of the council. We ask you to approve with immediate effect the proposal of topology dated July 27th, authorizing the study of the Quimby Lane initiative with a presentation of the results to the planning board on the October 25th meeting or in early November. Jack has already seen a copy of their proposal. The proposal solves many important issues for the town: downtown revitalization with a nightlife and more of a family activity, business development, luxury and affordable housing, a pocket park, additional parking, aesthetic redevelopment with new architectural and signage standards, and making use of and monetizing the post office site, which has been, not a well-used economic asset of the borough. Second, we want to ask you to direct the Shade Tree to respond to us. I would give them like 2 weeks. They've had it since May 11. They don't have to like the proposal. All we need is their advice. And we don't need it because you are a committee. They are a committee. They can't, they don't have the power of the budget, but we very much want their expertise. We very much request their expertise. And we think it's beneficial for the town if we get their comments. And we request that the Quimby Lane Pocket Park site be put on the list for open space, assuming the proposal is approved today.
Ms. Sellers, I wanted to also just emphasize that 2 of the bullet points you talked about, the recommendations from this topology company about additional parking and aesthetic redevelopment, including new architectural and signage standards, would go beyond just Quimby Lane, but could actually be recommendations that the entire town could incorporate. Is that correct?
Absolutely. Yeah, and Jeff Horowitz is taking the lead on working on that once the proposal comes through.
Jeff, did you forward a copy of that proposal that is, I guess you have a copy of?
Yes.
I'd like to see that.
Yeah, sure.
Council members, any questions?
It was excellent.
I like it.
It's all for $15,000? That's
The
it?
study, yeah. I support the idea. I don't know if we want to, do we need a motion or something, Jack? Do we need to, actually, Ralph, do we need to discuss whether or not this is something that we can fit in this year's budget without expanding this year's budget?
Yes, it can be, the capital improvement fund in the borough can be used for preliminary expenses, anticipation of a capital project somewhere down the line. And a resolution needs to be passed by the governing body, allowing those funds to be allocated immediately. And I've given our clerk Anthony a copy of said resolution. If the council so wishes to pass it this evening, that can be done.
So we have a resolution that we could consider tonight, and that resolution would then provide the $15,000 that's being requested.
Yes, that's correct.
Do we want to have any more discussion on this idea?
I really would like to see the RFP, but, I mean, the quote. Is it
For
so-
the topology, the presentation or
The proposal, we can email it to everybody. It can be negotiated afterward. I mean,
You have it momentarily, just sending it out.
oh, great.
Oh, okay.
Good. That's right.
In the meantime, I just want to ask something about the market conditions that you presented. The reason I just want to ask is because I don't want people to be alarmed in the fact that our home sales are plummeting in a way that's inconsistent with the rest of the state and the rest of the country. Because it does say, you know, the number of homes in Bernardsville compared to the same quarter a year earlier has declined 31%. So I looked at this, at some other articles talking about this subject, and I think a lot of towns in New Jersey are facing the same thing, right? Or have we?
Well, I'm sure there's other towns. I'm not an expert on this.
Yeah.
I'm just going by what the Turpin Realtors quarterly report came out.
Right, and I think that was something like 33 or so municipalities in the immediate area, and we were second from the bottom.
Okay.
Yeah, I can tell you it's not.
And you look at like towns.
But the way this is written, though, it says the average sale price has declined 14.5%. That doesn't necessarily mean that your individual home went down 14.5%. It may be that the mix of homes is at the lower price point.
Right.
And because more houses that are at the lower price point are the ones that are selling, and fewer at the higher price point are selling, the average sale price is lower.
Very
So
possible
that's an important distinction.
Average is susceptible to outliers, so if a house sells for, $20 million, it's going to change in the median. It would probably be a closer number.
Yeah.
But the other business
The
owners.
median went down too.
How much did the median go down by, do you know?
I don't know off the top of my head, but it did go down.
The other business owners, have you approached them at all? I mean, we own, obviously, the post office, but the other property owners, are they buying
We
into this?
don't think that's consistent with our approach. Our approach is to do the vision. Our approach is to not be influenced by outside interest. We only have the interest of the borough at heart. Once we've got a vision, we've got a plan, the planning board approves it, council approves it, then we'll approach everyone. It's not going to turn out exactly the way we come up with something. We're going to have discussion. But we want to be transparent, above board, and we want apples to apples proposals. So this will get effectuated and nobody will ask questions afterward about the process.
Right. And I think just to add to that, when we did the survey, we asked for everyone's feedback. When we did the visioning session in March at the high school, we had stand-up stations with 5 professional planners at each of the 5 stations, asking interactive feedback of all our residents who were attending. I know Tom was there, Christine was there, I think Mike, you were there too. So that happened at the end of March. So this has been a very interactive process with the entire public. Anything we've done, we've been publishing publicly as well, so everyone has an opportunity to weigh in.
I'm just looking at the, I'm sorry, go ahead, Christine.
The other comment that I have, which is a great thing, is that it's focused in a small area that we can make a center. Because I think that's one of the things that a lot of people express to me when I, talk to people who are looking for that sense of community. Because right now, the pond is great, but it's not conducive to the types of activities that, people are looking for. Just to meet friends and get off Fortnite and all that stuff.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I like that aspect of it, that it's very centralized and very small,
So
not overwhelming.
cutting to the chase, all you want is 15,000.
That is correct.
I'm looking at the quote, and the only thing I guess I have a question of, on page 6, number 5, all work that falls outside of the scope stated above will be invoiced on an hourly basis, basically saying $150 an hour without, it says that no work would be undertaken without prior approval.
Yeah.
Would that be our approval, Jack?
Well, that's up to you. You could have your approval, Ralph's approval.
Okay. I think that, well, let me ask, do you think anything right now would fall outside?
I couldn't think of anything. We threw everything in.
I like our approval, because change orders are big money sometimes.
Yeah,
But there's no change orders, just a plan. You're right.
But
change orders.
that's sort of like, it's, oh, by the way, it's more complicated
I
than thought.
suggest that council have time to review this, because otherwise we're gonna wind up with something like the recycling bill, where if you guys don't have time to review it, it's gonna get passed, and then it'll be something.
Well, let's rephrase it if possible, if I respect that point. Maybe
This is why I'm reviewing it, so, but go ahead.
Yeah, maybe you could review the details of the contract at a later time, have the lawyers review the details of the contract, but the substance of it is what we stated. And if we don't get started now with approval today, then we won't necessarily have the ability to make our dates, to get Penn to help, to get the Quimby Lane overlay zoning rewritten. So I would be very comfortable, I know the committee would be very comfortable if you took plenty of time to review it, edited anything you want, but we just like the concept to be approved today and the money allocation.
I don't think there's any problem. I don't think anyone is going to back off of the proof of concept. It's the approval of the dollars that are going forward that, it's the first time I'm seeing this, so.
Yeah, I would agree. I would want to do it, someone at 15,000, oh, but, you know, suddenly, well, we're almost done, we just need 10 more thousand. It just suddenly becomes, suddenly you gotta keep feeding to get to the right result.
I think that's not professional for them to do that. I would think.
Bonnie, I think why don't you lay out for council and for the residents here your background?
September
10th.
And where you work and your professional expertise.
Sure. Okay. So I have an undergraduate degree in architecture and landscape architecture from University of Pennsylvania. I have a master's in landscape architecture from Harvard. I have a law degree from Columbia. I practiced law for about 8 years at 2 large Manhattan law firms. I was a partner at McKinsey & Company, which is an international management consulting firm, and head of the real estate group. I was there for 18 years. I was CEO of Christie's International Real Estate, which is an international residential real estate company. I've done lots and lots of proposals like this, lots of RFPs, and what I would say is that I think this is a very complete proposal just based on my experience.
Is the concern that if we wait until the next meeting, which is September 10th, it's a month, I understand, but what does that do to you?
Well, one thing is that we don't get Penn to do the free design work for us. Because their course starts in about a week or 2.
Oh, because school's starting at the time.
Now, remember, none of this is binding. We're just getting a study, and for any of this to be implemented, it would have to go through the normal process through the planning board, through the council.
Okay, so just initial approval is really all we would be given, if that were the case?
Well, you'd be given approval to have this study done, but you would not be binding the borough to any particular plan. You know, you could get the plan and say, we don't like it at all, throw the garbage if you want, or you could proceed. But if you do proceed, you would have to go through the normal channels. You would go to the planning board.
Yep.
You know, you would have to introduce and adopt an ordinance at a public hearing. In the meantime, you have to refer it back to the planning board to make sure it's consistent with the master plan. So this is not a binding, you know, it's up to you.
Well, I understand the concept's not binding, but it's just financing it.
The 15,000.
That's what I'm concerned about. So 15 turns 25 to 30 to 50, like the train station cost us, I don't know how much.
Totally different type of proposal,
Yeah.
but I respect that.
We could limit it to 15,000 and
Yeah,
$1.
no more.
no more.
I mean, the flip side, I mean, coming back to Sam's numbers with the housing, and John, you know this probably as well as Tom, our housing valuations, we're down 100 million. So my personal opinion is 15,000 as a percentage of 100 million. Trying to bring that 100 million back is the the end game here.
It's a good investment.
Exactly.
Jack, you've reviewed the RFP for legality and the appropriateness of the terms, and the borough is likely to get the deliverables that are stated in the RFP?
Yes, for 2 reasons. One is that they're a reputable firm, but 2, what we do is we make them execute the standard borough professional services contract and incorporate the terms from their proposal.
Okay. And they're not authorized to overrun the 15,000, even as the RFP stands today. It's that they'd have to come back to us for additional money
That's correct.
if they were trying to do something that's specifically outside the scope of what we're asking them to do. But by definition, that's outside the scope anyway.
That's correct.
So they don't do it then.
That's what I was sort of getting at.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, so we limit it to 15,000.
Exactly.
I mean, it's de facto limited to 15,000 because they're going to do the scope. They can't ask for more money than they bid for that scope of work. It's only if they expand the scope, or we ask them to expand the scope, where we have any kind of additional particular monetary.
If you choose to proceed with this tonight or at the next meeting, you could say not to exceed 15,000.
Okay.
Sure.
I don't think we would do it unless we did say that.
Yeah, okay. So if we put not to exceed in the resolution for tonight, do the council members feel that that would be an okay approach for tonight, that we could support?
I'm fine with that. Sorry,
Christine, what's your
Yes. I also like to say that this committee was put together to do just what you're doing. And you've put a ton of work into this from beginning to now. So I've been kind of waiting for this and hoping that something like this would come. So for me, this is a logical next step. And knowing how much is involved in what you're about, or what we're about to embark on, if we do, 15,000 is normal. It's not like it's an astronomical amount. And if, you know, the firm is reputable and Jack reviewed it, then I don't have a problem with that.
Well, as Bonnie said, I think they were the runners-up when the planning board was looking for a replacement plan to replace David Zimmer.
And in fact, David thought they were first choice, but.
Yeah.
I was gonna say that.
And others.
Yeah, I mean.
Mike knows.
Maybe it might be
Mike
just
knows
a
well.
point just to read in part of the RFP that I'm discussing to outline it, so that there's no mistake later, you know.
Yeah, I'm putting, I'm going to prepare.
So for, do you guys have one thing you want to add?
Just the NTUs, you know, the.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so the keep saying RFP, the quotation from Topology, is that how you say it?
Yes.
Quotation dated July 27th, 2018. Page 5, continuing to 6. The fixed fee for the above outlined scope and services is a total of $15,000. Number 1, project plan, $500. Number 2, inventory, $2,500. Number 3, strategic plan, $7,500. Number 4, implementation strategy and bid documents, $3,500. Number 5, final public presentation, $1,000. I didn't check with that, that's the $15,000. So the ordinance that we have for tonight, is there a number you have, Anthony?
It's resolution.
Resolution.
No, does that include all the zoning or the requirements or verbiage, you know, that would have to be incorporated?
Yeah, they're gonna propose verbiage, obviously the planning board has to.
Right, but they would give you the legal, like the legalese that you need to sort of
Yes.
proceed on.
The main principal is a lawyer in addition to a planner.
And I would add that if you're going to act on that, I would add not to exceed 15,000 too.
Absolutely.
And I'll also include
So you'll add that to the resolution, Jack?
I'll add it to the contract.
Okay.
It should be on the second paragraph of the resolution, like, not to exceed $15,000.
Yes.
I think we have a question.
Chris, do you want to recognize that? Do we want to allow?
Well, I don't see a reason. You have a problem with it? Or?
No, that's what
As long as it
Yeah,
doesn't,
no, I
as
know.
long as it doesn't snowball.
Yeah. All right. I guess we have questions. Okay, sir, you need to come up and state your name and address. This is an open session, so we're just going to entertain a few things, okay?
Okay. Good evening, how are you? My name is Hendel Gonzalez, I live in 12 Sunset Drive. I just kind of I have a question regarding the study, if it's fully, if the study goes far and the study the ramifications from the plan, because everybody has been in Westfield and we love Westfield, going out and having all the amenities right there. But Bernardsville is not such as Westfield because we have, let's say that we can reroute 202. But then also, we didn't have, that's like daydreaming. That's daydreaming. But let's say, Westfield has the advantage of having some other towns that supply the labor to work in all those, restaurants and businesses and stuff. I would like to know if, they have been thinking about where all this labor is gonna come from. Because, right now, the people who work in Bernardsville live in Bernardsville. So if, we have in a study, where does these people is gonna come from? How much money they're gonna make? Are we going to be able to provide housing for them? And all those things, those are ramifications that we're going to have to deal with it because, in the picture, everything sounds beautiful. And I would love to see that with our town. But we have to think, a step further and, see all the ramifications that they may come from, with a decision like this. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Do you want to touch on any of that, or are we just something that you want to talk about later when the study comes through? Yeah.
Brian, you want to take that? I mean,
I don't
it's
think
part of the planning process.
Okay, because we have quite an agenda to get through tonight. I don't want to delay this anymore.
Sure.
I'll take two more, okay? I saw your hand first.
Good evening. My name is Ayana Gonzalez, also 12 Sunset Drive. My question is based on the school. What are your studies? You know, I've seen my kids, their classrooms are, you know, a bit packed, I would say. I think year after year you keep increasing the number of children. There's no more rooms to add in the school. Are we going to need a bigger school afterwards in a couple of years? Definitely, the classes are crowded. I would say, you know, you decrease the amount of, you know, just how everybody focuses in a class. And, you know, I wish you could see that in a study.
I have kids in the school as well.
I think in response to that, I think the schools generally plan, like, you know, they have a plan for the grades and how they roll up and things. We should definitely include them in what we're thinking about and what impact that would have on new residences in our town and school-age children that are a result of that. So maybe we can find a way to incorporate somebody from the school planning process in what we're doing.
It'll be part of the process too, and it's also interweaving between the affordable housing too.
Finish that thought. I mean, I believe that's why a lot of people move to Bernardsville, you know. Oh, it's, you know, classrooms are smaller, less kids in a classroom. That's the big plus why you move to Bernardsville. But then if you have a lot more people living in it, I mean, you cannot control the amount of people going to school.
We have to figure out a way to pay for it.
And how to pay for it,
But
exactly.
the Quimby Lane zoning
And that's-
overlay restricts the number of bedrooms in the apartments. So it's not really an issue, although, to your point, we should definitely include the school officials in this.
Yep. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
I'll take one more, sir.
Lou Romano, Stevens Street. Yeah, I've been in the town a long time, and I'll just be real blunt. You drive down the middle of town, I don't know what you see, but town needs something. Needs some revitalization. It's not only just the weeds coming in between the cracks, which, hello, but it's empty. 15,000, that's peanuts. Even if it goes right down the tubes like this gentleman feels it possibly could be, what's the big deal? I mean, the town needs a lift. 15,000, that's a no-brainer. And as far as the housing goes, a lot of people want to be in the center. They want to move out from their houses and get to some of those other places. I don't think there'll be a negative impact to the school. If anything, it should really lift it up. Listen, on the weekends, I enjoy a great community I go to. The center of town is the hub. We see it here in the north. It's in South Jersey. It's all over the place. It can easily be here. Quimby Lane is a very interesting idea. 15,000 is nothing. I would expect that you would approve that. Thank you.
Thanks for your comments, sir.
Can I just suggest that we hear from Olivia Manning, because she's in a downtown redevelopment committee anyway. So
On our
it's
committee
close, you know, she's on. Olivia, can you tell us what committee you're heading? Because it's so closely related to this issue, I'm just wondering if we could give one more person.
All right, one more. Olivia, I know Olivia, so, okay, last one, Olivia.
I'll be quick.
Okay.
I do have just a couple things. First is a question for you guys in the whole planning process. I
Sorry,
don't know.
Olivia, can you
I'm
tell
sorry.
us what committee that you're working on?
Yes, Olivia Manning, 13 Orchard Street. I should say that too. My husband and I put together the Downtown Bernardsville Improvement Alliance, which is right now a Facebook group. It's a forum for everyone to share ideas, to talk about improving our town. And if you don't know about it, please go there and join and talk about your ideas. I also am running Bernardsville Special Events Group, where I am hopefully going to be running some events. Starting this year, we do have something coming up in October for Halloween. We're bringing back the trunk or treat, so I'm really excited about that coming up. So community events, I'm down. Whatever you guys have going on, please call me. I'm in, okay? And that's going to be a nonprofit, so we are completely separate from all the politics and everything that goes on with that too. So we are nonpartisan for sure. So there's that I definitely want to make sure everyone knows about. Please join if you want to. Question for you guys is, there is a concept called the Special Improvement District.
Yeah.
I'm not sure how,
We're hoping we can get there with private enterprise. If we can't, that's the next stage.
Okay, yes, because Westfield, Somerville, Morristown, all these towns that everyone talks about, they want to be like, that's what they have in common, their special improvement
Right.
districts, and
That'll-
everyone needs to understand that, I think.
That'll take an extra 6 months and some legal things, and there'll be a few more costs. And if we can do it with private enterprise and know the answer very quickly, that would be ideal. If not, exactly, we'll follow exactly what you
Okay,
suggested.
and even on those fronts, whatever we can do to assist with that, whether it's private, nonprofit organization, whatever it is, please ask us. We'll be.
Sure.
This is a great presentation, you guys. I am also agreeing it's a no-brainer, so thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. So, thank you, Olivia. Council members, anything you want to add before we put the resolution to a vote?
No more questions from me.
Okay. Okay, Resolution 18-189, establishing preliminary costs for downtown revitalization project. Whereas the Borough of Bernardsville hereby acknowledges the requirement of preliminary costs to determine the scope and cost of proposed undertaking. The purpose of these preliminary costs are for the downtown development project, and that the amount to be charged for the purpose for which bonds may be issued under Chapter 2, Title 40A. Therefore, it be resolved that the amount appropriate for preliminary costs shall not exceed $15,000, and the treasurer is authorized to set up a reserve for preliminary expenses out of the capital improvement fund of the general capital fund.
I would ask that you also, in the second, add a second paragraph authorizing professional services contract with topology as outlined in their proposal.
Okay, as Jack has stated, you can add that to the resolution. And
I'll make a motion.
okay, all right. I'll listen to the motion.
I'll second it.
Okay. Seconded by Mr. O'Day. We need a roll call, Jack?
Yes, please.
Mr. Donahue?
Yes.
Mr. O'Day?
Yes.
Mr. Schmidt?
Yes.
Mr. Sullivan?
Yes.
Mrs. Merrick?
Yes.
Get those kids at 10 on the roll, get them moving.
Yes.
I'll call them tomorrow. Thanks so much.
Okay,
Thank you,
thank you.
everybody.
Thank you. Thank you. All right. Thank you, everybody.
Yeah.
Okay. 4B has been stricken. We're not doing that tonight.
Now we can get on to our first item of the
I
night.
know, right? At 8:30. So
All these guys get to leave.
let's give them a minute just to back out. Hey, folks, we have a lot of stuff to get to. If you could talk out in the hallway, please.
Bang the gavel, Mike.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Yes. Look forward to getting the results back.
Thank you so much. I hope we
Yeah, you know what, it's, I hope so, because I've, once been twice shy sometimes, and, and it's just like,
Watch out, watch out, watch out.
yeah.
I appreciate it.
Of course, I like the idea of anything like that, too. I think it would be enough money for everybody, like,
To order, please. Number 5, approval of minutes, July 9th, 2018. Mr. O'Day was absent. I'll have a motion to approve the minutes.
I'll move.
Moved by Mr. Donahue,
I'll second Anthony.
second by Mr. Sullivan. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed?
I'm abstaining.
Abstained by Mr. O'Day. Ayes have it. Okay. Number 7, ordinances. Mayor to open a public hearing, ordinance 18-1776, an ordinance providing for improvement of Anderson Hill Road by the Borough of Bernardsville, County of Somerset, New Jersey, and making an appropriation of $250,000, therefore constituting proceeds of a grant from the New Jersey Department of Transportation. Anyone wishing to have anything to say on that?
Not me.
Anybody? Seeing none, I'll ask for a motion.
I'll move.
Moved by Mr. Excuse me, I need some water. By Mr. Donahue.
Is there a public comment?
Do we have a public comment? I didn't see anybody. I didn't see your hand up, sir. I'm sorry.
I'm sorry.
Come on up, sir. Yes, state your name and your address, please.
Jay Shapiro, 174 Anderson Hill Road.
Okay.
So I wasn't aware that there was a capital project until we happened to see it posted tonight in the hall. And so if perhaps we could just hear a 1-minute description of what the $250,000 is intended to cover.
I can let John talk, but basically we're looking to pave, mill down the road, pave, make any improvements that we need to for drainage from everywhere, from the library, right, starting there all the way up to where Mendham Extension cuts off and it becomes Mendham Road.
Okay, and that's great. And what is the timeline for that?
John?
Well, we're going to be awarding the contract. The first part of it is actually curb ramps. We've got, we are getting a grant from the NJDOT. We have to make all, as you know, make all of our our curb ramps ADA compliant. We have a lot of issues there. That's the first contract that we're awarding a contract for about $100,000. Hopefully that will get done this fall, depending upon the contractor's availability. The paving would certainly be pushed until spring, summer to make sure we're in a good window for paving.
We're a year away from that.
About.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Sure, absolutely.
John, was there any, I thought I heard something about coordinating with Mendham, who seems to be paving a portion of that road also?
No, that actually wasn't. It's actually the Lloyd Road signs. We thought it was, they put signs so far back, everyone thought they were going to maybe pave that, which would be great.
Yeah.
But it doesn't look like that's going to happen. So.
Okay.
Yeah. All right, so motion to pass on final reading and adopt this. Really? Okay. It's very unusual. I'm sorry. Come on up, please.
Samantha Ortiz, 34 Prospect. I was just wondering if it has, if that includes sidewalks or if it's just paving the actual road.
I don't think we're adding sidewalks, are we, John?
No.
Yeah.
Okay.
Exactly as it is now, except the road is just in bad condition.
Okay.
It's going to be milled down and repaved.
Okay. I just know that I saw, I don't know where it was in the master plan or another initiative, but for the safety of kids walking to school on that road. So I thought that that was one of the requirements for improving the
I don't know.
sidewalks.
I think we have the safe passage to school on that road.
It's all clear, like
I
the
believe
sidewalks
so.
are done.
I'm seeing
Okay.
John shake his head, yeah.
Okay.
Thank you. Anybody else? Okay. I'll accept the motion, pass on final reading, and adopt as published. I think we had a move by Mr. Donahue. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Mrs. Mara. Roll call, please.
Mrs. Mara?
Yes.
Mr. Sullivan?
Yes.
Mr. Schmidt?
Yes.
Mr. O'Day?
Yes.
Mr. Donahue?
Yes.
Okay. Mayor to open a public hearing on ordinance 18-1777, an ordinance establishing procedural rules for the Borough Advisory Committees and supplementing and amending Chapter 2 of the Borough Code entitled Administration. Any comments on this?
Yeah, we kind of an issue with the way it's written right now. G.
What's the issue?
Communication. It says neither advisory committees nor any of their individual members shall communicate directly with any borough employees or officials. All such communications shall be directed through the borough administrator. I would like to change that and say advisory committees shall communicate with the borough through their chair or council liaison. All such communications, which shall include meetings, shall be directed to the BA in order to review minutes and any associated reports, working to achieve the goals and objectives of the advisory committees. Because right now, this has the ability to completely negate the role of the committees if we can't communicate with Ralph or anybody else.
Jack?
I think the administrative code has a similar provision for members of the council.
Say again, Jack?
The administrative code has a similar provision for members of the council.
Well, if it applies to members of the council, that should definitely apply to the committees then.
It's up to you all.
I agree with that.
The committee shouldn't have a role that exceeds what we do.
What I'm saying is the council chair or.
Sorry, the committee chair?
I beg your pardon. Committee chair, beg your pardon.
Mm-hmm.
Committee chair or the council liaison communicate directly through the BA, with the BA. So
Isn't that what that says, though?
No.
The BA, through the BA?
Through the administrator.
Yeah, that's what it says.
Well, hang on a sec. What's communicate?
Provide feedback, direction, recommendations.
Can you meet?
Yeah, right?
Well, my feedback has been you can't meet.
You can't meet with the business administrator, or the borough's administrator? Is that what that says?
Happy to table it if we want.
Right, yeah, I think the intent, Ralph was saying the intent was that there'd be emails to Ralph. Certainly Ralph could set up a meeting.
I mean, without the meeting, because the intent, and just from my opinion, you have these advisory committees. If you don't have the ability to go to Ralph and give Ralph direction to the employees, you have a worthless committee. You've massively.
Well, the committees can't give direction at all. The committees can only make recommendations to the council. The council gives direction.
That's correct.
No committee can give direction to Ralph or any of the employees. That's the way it is now. The committees make recommendations to the council gives the direction.
Well,
these are advisory committees. That's why it doesn't apply to a board or a plan, or, well, it doesn't apply to the boards.
It does not apply to any statutory boards.
Right.
Planning board, environmental commission, library board of trustees.
Right.
But rec is accepted, right?
What's that?
Well, they can't give direction, but rec has been accepted because historically the rec director has attended all their meetings which are held during the morning. And they don't make any decisions. They still have to be made by the council.
So the housing committee in this specific case has some issues. How do they resolve their issues?
You could communicate with Ralph.
Or bring them to the council.
That's right. The liaison to any advisory committee can bring them directly to the council. That's correct.
Okay.
You okay with it as written, or do we want to raise this?
I mean, I'd like to include communication can be a meeting. It doesn't have to be exclusively email.
Does it say email only?
Well, I think that is up to Ralph to get communication. You can certainly schedule a meeting if you like, I think.
Ralph, any problem?
When it was initially discussed, that's the way it was proposed months ago. That it would come, and then I would respond, I would have all the issues in one place. I would pass them on to the committee, not to the committee, to our employees. They would respond in writing, copies go all to the mayor and council. And if in fact there was still an issue, that they could come to the public meeting and raise that before the entire governing body. That's the way it was put forward. couple of months ago, or whatever that was.
Bottom line, though, whether the communication were face-to-face or email, a committee cannot give direction to anybody.
That's correct.
Right, but the idea is to share the minutes and to have, in certain situations, the employees of the town need to act on the minutes.
That's the direction we pass through Ralph. You know, if you need
Yeah, and then-
certain like things looked at or certain reports given to you, like it funnels through him.
I would pass that on to our employees. I think that's the purpose. Correct?
And I think if there's an issue that,
Right, or bring it to the council.
bring it to the council, yeah.
That's correct.
If you're not getting the response you think is appropriate, then bring it to the council to escalate, I think.
Yeah, right, yes, that was discussed also.
Chris, somebody in the audience would like to be recognized?
One second, we're not taking questions right now. Is there, Ralph, is there anything that you can add that you think, to Mike's point, or?
No, I mean, we had, as I said, it was all discussed a couple of months ago, and I think that was agreed upon then. That's all I can say. I mean, if information is given to me, I will make sure that it's received by our employees, response is made in an appropriate, quickly manner, and then if in fact that still is not satisfactory, again, the plan was to then escalate it to the governing body.
So Ralph, you're saying you're going to follow up in both cases, so you'll receive theoretically the minutes, discuss them with the employees, and then get back to the person who sent them, theoretically the chair.
Yes, with the answers from the employees.
Yep.
And if that is not satisfactory to the committee for whatever the reason, it was discussed that the next step would then go to the governing body for final ultimate resolution. Am I correct, gentlemen?
Mm-hmm. That's my understanding.
That was the intent of the ordinance.
And you too, Chris.
Mike, do you have any
I'm good.
issue? Okay.
Okay, so then I do have a question, and Mike, I'm sorry, I couldn't hear. Were you done?
Yeah.
Yes, okay. So then, my question is, Jack, the way this is written, does this allow for a closed session portion of a committee meeting? For example, the Open Space Committee sometimes discusses properties that they're considering, and so as not to affect the market value of those properties, it's been recommended that we have a closed session portion of like an Open Space Committee, for example.
Yes, I believe the committees can have closed session in accordance with the Public Meetings Act. But very few committees would actually have the occasion to do that, except for probably Open Space.
Right, okay. I just wanted to check.
Yes.
So that's okay within the guise of the way this is written already? You don't have to change anything that you wrote?
No.
Okay.
Anybody else?
Are we allowing public?
We're not really allowing it.
Do we have?
I'm just looking to 246(5)B, except when specifically authorized by the Open Public Meetings Act, NJSA 10:4-12, all advisory committee meetings shall be conducted in public. So it does specifically say it shall be in public, except when permitted by the Open Public Meetings Act.
Okay, so it says that.
Yes.
This says closed public hearings. I guess it is open to others.
Mr. Baker.
My name is Robert Baker, 61 Alcott, and I have 3 or 4 comments on the document you're looking at, and I recommended you table it for future discussion. The discussion that I see here tonight that was one of the items I'm confused with, and I don't think it's right. Just to give you a little background, I'm a public official. I'm a volunteer. I volunteer for the county, the IRS, and the town. And I'm on school. So I see volunteerism coming all over this here, and I don't want this to impede volunteerism. That's my main concern, because I have to deal with rules all the time, and so I think this is a little, as I look at this, is tying my hands, as the Green Team is an advisory committee. Okay, I'm chairman of the Green Team. So I don't want unintended consequences, because volunteers are hard to get, very difficult. You're all volunteers. We have a lot of volunteers in the office out here today. So my first thing is I'll go back to the comment that Mike had a while ago, but I think the annual training, well, annual, school boards does it every 3 years. So if I'm reading this, I have to get trained every year by the borough. So if I'm trained 1 year, I'm the committee member the next year, what I get trained on. Only if there's a major change, that's the only thing. So I think that paragraph should be revised to maybe 3 years, and say, if you're a new member on the committee, so like Christine's on the green team, and so is Ed and my wife, so if we're all returning, we don't need training every year. That's a lot of waste of my time. I get trained all the time. So that paragraph, I think, can be made better.
That paragraph is recommended by Labor Council.
I know what it's recommending, but other organizations don't require that. That's all I'm saying, is other public bodies do not require that. So, I mean, I think you can, the training's good, I just think it needs to be reviewed by this body and discussed, all right? The other item is the thing about videotaping or audio taping, like who's going to do that and where's that going to be done, who's going to post it and who's going to do all that kind of stuff, and where's it going to be stored?
Anthony, that process is in place already?
Yes, we have a Google Drive. We have these little MP3 recorders that we're recording on.
So you're going to have to give that to me?
Yeah, yes, I definitely.
Right, okay, I just don't know how am I going to do that, who's doing it, so it's making more, we're giving you more work?
Well, I can give it to other committees and stuff. So.
All right, okay, I just want to make sure that I understand.
Okay.
And then getting back to the one that Mike was discussing before about dealing with Ralph. A lot of times, and I'll give you an example, it's like we do the electronic waste recycling, okay? It's done every year with coordination of the county. We have been interfacing with John McDowell. So we have a lot of talking to get that organized. So I don't want to keep, hey, Ralph, I need to do this, can I talk to John? So I think you could write in here, it would be his designee for a project, because a lot of these committees are doing projects that need interfacing with the borough employees. Like the Shade Tree Commission, they can't go out and plant the trees themselves. They need to get other people and work with John again. So for specific approved projects, I think we can make that wording better, okay? So I think there's too much in here that it needs further review. I don't think there's a rush on this. I think if we get it done by the end of the year, we're fine, you know, because we're going to have we'll have new committee members maybe, and we'll start fresh.
I think that the provisions broader enough to allow Ralph, if Bob comes and says, you know, I'd like to talk to John about this, to say, okay. You know,
okay, so on a case-by-case basis.
Yeah, I think there should be some wording in here to give me some flexibility.
I mean, this ordinance didn't just fall out of the sky.
No. So you're saying it's already written in such a way that that could happen?
I think it gives Ralph that discretion, managerial discretion to do that.
If he felt he needed some, you know, I guess, concurrence, he could always, you know, come to us, I guess, and.
If there's this much question on it, why don't we table this for another meeting? It's not an urgent thing. We have a lot of other things to get to, and to just sit here and debate it. These are all great points Mr. Baker made and Mike brought. I move we table this to another meeting.
Thank you.
I second that. Make sure we get it right.
Any problem with that?
You need a second?
Yeah. Mr. Donahue?
A motion to continue the ordinance, the public hearing on the ordinance to the September 10th meeting with no further notice of publication.
That's the motion?
Yes, please.
Is that your motion, Chris?
Yeah, I'll move.
I'll second it.
All right, let's table that.
Do we need aye or something for that?
We can do a voice vote.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I'll abstain.
Okay. I'll move that ordinance 181778, an ordinance adding 10 units to the borough senior citizen affordable housing site on North Finley Avenue and amending various sections of the borough land use ordinance be introduced by title, passed on first reading, published according to law, and that a public hearing be scheduled for a meeting beginning at 7 p.m. Monday, September 10th, 2018. Do I have a motion?
I'll move.
I'm sorry.
I moved.
Moved by Mr. O'Day, second by Mr. Donahue. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Abstained? Ayes have it. Okay, resolutions 18174 through 18187. We are pulling 18188. Anyone have anything to discuss or anything they want to pull?
I have one minor correction. The chief just told me on 18178, the Slayer 3, who was actually captain in the investigator, Bernardsville Township Police Department, not lieutenant. Minor point.
Captain, not a lieutenant?
Right.
Nothing else?
I had a question on that 18178 as well. So Chief, did we say that this is fully paid for by the school district? Is that right?
Yes, correct.
All right. I had a question on 18179, unless anybody else has a question on 18178.
No, 179, what's your question?
It said something in the paperwork, John, about there's a fire hydrant across the street, and isn't that sufficient? Do you know? There's no fire hydrant across the street?
There is across the street, but where they're putting the FDC to that building would create a hose to go from one side of the street to the other side of the street, so no emergency apparatus, police, pedestrians, anything
Could cross
that.
Okay.
So in an effort, when we're building these buildings, we're trying to get hydrants on the same side of the street as the FDC, so as we're not blocking main thoroughfares. That's our truck lane for truck traffic, so it's something I think we have to be cognizant of, and that's why we asked for it.
Are we paying for that fire hydrant? Are we paying, Ralph, to put the fire hydrant in?
Not to install it, but there is an annual fee.
Yes, there's an annual, we pay the water bill.
Okay.
Not for installation.
Sounds like a good idea.
Anything else? Okay, I'll entertain a motion to approve resolutions 18174 through 18187.
I move.
Moved by Mr. O'Day.
Second.
Second by Mr. Sullivan. Roll call, please.
Mr. Donahue?
Aye.
Mr. O'Day?
Yes.
Mr. Schmidt?
Yes.
Mr. Sullivan?
Yes.
Mrs. Mayor?
Yes.
Okay, number 9, reports. Municipal Attorney, Jack, anything?
Not unless you have any questions.
Okay. 9B, Council Public Safety Committee. I've been away most of the summer. We have not had a meeting. Chief, anything you want to bring up that might be of interest or that you want to go over?
Well, the report is, the report's been submitted, it's in your package. There's a couple of issues that we've been working on together behind the scenes with some of the members, with Christine and yourself. We're still pursuing some additional safety signage and signs for the Burns Avenue corridor as far as improving the speed sign safety that's in that area. We've completed a traffic study on that street, so we have the statistics and whatnot regarding the speeds and the vehicle volume on that street. And that was a result of prior concerns about vehicles on Bernards Avenue. We've talked about the safe routes to school grant that Councilwoman Zamara had some interest in trying to pursue, as well as we're still pursuing the placement and acquisition of the digital speed signs for some of the streets in the borough as well. So we've been communicating on all that behind the scenes. We've been making progress. There's some interaction going back and forth on that, but other than that, not really.
Since we've implemented the changes on Claremont up by the game, I forget the Raider Dragon, I think it's called. Any fallout from that?
Well, yeah, there is actually some feedback, and some of it I received as recently as last week. 2 things of concern. One, as suspected, some of the parking has just moved from the upper end of Claremont to the lower end of Claremont, and that area is becoming more congested down there. The residents and the businesses in that area have been trying to find places for their customers or their residential guests to park. The other thing that came up, and John doesn't even know about this yet, there's been a request for more signs in the area where the new parking prohibitions have taken place. The police department's been issuing summonses in those areas, and people have been allowed to park there for a long time. And what's happened is at the beginning of the no parking zone, in some cases, apparently the signs have been blocked by vehicles that are parked at the beginning of the zone, and they're not seeing their first sign, and they're continuing to park up the street. They get a ticket because they're in a prohibited area, but they never saw the sign. So there was a request by a business owner on Claremont Road if we could put additional signs to better delineate that no parking area between the Claremont Tavern and Memory Road, so I don't think that's a problem.
How many you think you'd need?
Probably two.
Two?
Maybe two, no more than three, I would think. But other than that, it seems to be working out pretty well, actually, I think.
Okay, 9C, Council Finance and Personnel Committee. Tom?
So the Finance and Personnel Committee doesn't have a major update for this session, but for September 10th, we're going to have a report and some recommendations for consideration by council at that time.
Okay. 9D, Council Engineering Technology and Public Works. We did have a meeting with John. You want to go over anything, John, that you have that is a highlight?
As if it isn't enough that Conti's boogering up the bottom part of Claremont, we're on the upper part of Claremont, installing drainage. That's moving along really well. Kathy's doing a great job out there advising residents which way to go, which is kind of confusing at times. But the contractor is making as good progress as we can in spite of Mother Nature. Chapin Road drainage, we're anticipating that project to go in September. We just awarded contracts for Till Hill Road and Anderson Hill Hill. Quite a bit of drainage. We hope that we can get that going in fall and even into winter. Anderson a little bit more weather dependent with a lot of concrete work. And we've had our pre-construction meeting for a wastewater treatment plant filter replacement project. We got about 5 or 6 months lead time on the manufacture of the filters, so we probably won't see any activity out in our parking lot until January on that project.
Okay.
John, a quick question. Have you had any feedback to people in was it the Liberty about the grass, the quality of the grass that was put down by the contractor there? Just as I walk my dog by all the time, it's like, it looks like everything but grass to me.
That's a tough one. By the way, the drainage.
I'm not trying to rabble rouse, I just look at it, I'm like,
the drainage and the curbing is working great. I just
it looks
down
great,
that yesterday. There's no puddles. We had a lot of water issues on Liberty before, so the project worked. The reseeding, people need to water when the seed goes down. If you let it lie dormant and it doesn't rain, which was when we finished the job, the crabgrass loves it and it is very invasive and it'll take over. I've heard the complaint. There are places where it looks just fine, where people did take care of it. But yeah, it's a problem out there. There's a ton of crabgrass.
Okay, I just had to ask. I see it all the time.
And we did have a contractor go by a second time after, I mean, he put it down like you're supposed to. He came back and touched everything up a second time.
A couple spots look really nice. I didn't know if it was just the batch or the people maintaining it.
I want to attribute it to a lack of maintenance on the part of, there's a little bit of responsibility on the part of the homeowner to help it out.
With all this rain, it should be growing prolific.
I think it was earlier on though.
Was it? Yeah.
It was dry.
Okay. Oh, Chief, you know, you hosted the National Night Out the other evening. I attended until the heavens opened right when that movie was starting, and I think everyone just bugged out of there. But it was a nice event. Thanks to all the guys that put that together and who attended.
Yeah, no, we appreciate all of our support. The fire department was there as always, as well as you know, our OEM CERT volunteers and you know, members from the police department, Somerset County OEM, and we had a couple other organizations from the community that came out. The Lions Club, of course, was there, as well as several other businesses in town and community groups. That's always a big event for us. It's a great opportunity for the police officers to meet residents in the community and to get out and just have a good time and get to know one another better. This year's turnout was slightly lower than past years, partially I think because of the weather forecast. And next year we're looking at maybe, you know, changing up a little bit so it's something a little bit different because it's become a popular event. We don't want to keep doing the same thing over and over again, so we're going to think about some options we might have to spice it up a little bit.
Right.
It was fun event. So.
Well, thanks to your guys and to Leniers as well. It's a nice event.
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay, 9E, any other committee or commission reports? Anybody?
Chris, I just want to point out a couple things on the minutes from the Housing Committee. Jack, if you could share with Ralph your Long Hill report, because we're looking for greater detail.
Sure.
So if you could provide that to Ralph, that would be great. And then just want to point out, I'm just going to run through. I have, you know, off the minutes, just going to give you a couple of houses, and then off a new report I just got. 15 Mine Ave, A, B, and C, violation including locks on doors. 4 Minebrook, insufficient information as to male tenant at the premises. 55 Bernards Ave, discrepancies as to whether the tenant list is in agreement with the borough records. 569 Minebrook, 3 bedrooms, now 5 bedrooms. And then committee is in unanimous agreement that all safety violations, including by way of example overcrowding, and too many unapproved bedrooms, locks on doors, summonses have been issued immediately, and landlord cure within 30 days. And then on the report I just got the other day, 15 Prospect Street, police report states there were tenants residing in the basement of Unit 1 with several man-made walls constructed. 56 Mount Airy, unit can only be utilized as a 2-bedroom unit, cannot be expanded. So obviously it was expanded. 54 Mount Airy, unit is being used as 3-bedroom unit where it can only be used as a 2-bedroom unit. Confirmed tenants in the units. 127 Claremont, bedroom cannot have a deadbolt lock on the bedroom doors. 397 Minebrook, garage space. The unit is over the detached garage, must be to code. No proper fire separation, insulation within the garage area to properly shield the living space above. So obviously somebody took a garage and made it a living space. That's all. Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Price.
Just to follow up on Mr. Sullivan's comments, everything that he said is in the report, and it's our ongoing business to remove deadbolts, to reduce the amount of bedrooms back to what they should be, and everybody's got either a 5, a 15, or a 30-day notice, depending on the severity of the issue. And the point Mr. Sullivan made about the police finding some illegal bedrooms in a basement, that was on a Sunday. I got the report half an hour after the police had written the report. I was there at that house on Monday, didn't see any of the bedrooms. They removed everything. So we went back there the following Monday, and they were back again. So it's in the report. That detail's not in the report, but we are on it.
Any summonses issued?
Yes.
Court dates?
Very soon. Courts are always 2 or 3 weeks out.
DCA called?
No, sir. DCA won't come out if it's anything less than 3 apartments in a building.
Clarify what DCA is.
Department of Community Affairs.
Thank you.
Okay. Back to you, the 90 housing zoning report from the zoning officer. Would you like to come up or speak from your spot?
Whichever you prefer.
You can stay there, it's fine. We've had a big night, why not?
Well, the 2 reports that you have, the one is the housing report, which just details each inspection that was done, and as Mr. Sullivan cited a few issues which we're rectifying. At the bottom of the violations report, which is the zoning report, 15 Prospect Street, we work very closely with the police. The police are extremely good at writing reports. When we see that one of our professionals was there, we reacted appropriately. To get an email or a complaint that says there's 25 people living in this house. Well, okay, there's no, I can't substantiate that. But certainly with the police report, we were able to do that. And a couple of months ago, you adopted a resolution about vacant and abandoned houses. We've sent out half a dozen requests for the banks to register these houses. To date, we have received nothing. They were given 30 days to respond, and this week is the week to give them a second reminder, and then that will go to violations also. Anything else of interest on the report that you'd like to comment on?
I have nothing. Council members, anybody? Okay, thank you. We'll move on to items of business. 10A, the deer fence from 67 Charles Road.
So my question here is that,
Well, let's let you introduce himself
oh, I'm
first.
sorry, I didn't realize.
Yeah.
Good. Rick Tom, 67
you.
Charles Road. I'm here, I applied for a zoning permit, and there's an easement that I need to get approval from the council to put up a structure. I'm just looking to put up an 8-foot deer fence around the property. No trees will be removed. The posts will just be put in the ground, no cement. And we're just trying to manage the deer population tick problem, and we want to do some plantings. We have a part of the property that years ago was kind of, the trees were leveled from Sandy and some of the other subsequent storms, so we're just trying to do some replantings as well.
Your question?
Do we normally do zoning variances?
In the past, the council has allowed deer fences to be constructed in the conservation easement. There was a time when the planning board required 50-foot conservation easements along rights of way. So we have had requests in the past to install deer fences in there, and the council has allowed it if they don't take down any trees, a minimum number of trees. Didn't build any other structures in there.
Mm-hmm.
Now, planting other plants in that area, I don't recall that ever being allowed. I may send that to the Environmental Commission for their comment, because I know in the past we've actually moved to enforce the conservation easement to prevent people from planting.
Well, the plantings, you want to protect your plantings.
Correct, so
around
the
your
deer
home.
doesn't come on, so I can respect that buffer for the plantings. I'm just trying to manage deer coming in and eating the plantings. It's a 9-acre property, so.
Yeah, I'm not opposed to it.
So the plantings wouldn't be in the conservation
If
easement?
that's an issue, then I will not. I'll do it outside of it, but the fence itself would more or less delineate the property line.
Since I've been on council, we've approved this twice before, and as long as it would be written in such that it wouldn't be have any plantings in there, I don't see any issue with it. You're just protecting plantings around your home so they're not salad for the deer when you plant them, right?
Correct, and also just the deer themselves,
Right.
for children, ticks, and all
Right.
those good things.
Okay. Do you have anything, thing that's been drawn up as far as?
Sure.
Why can't you plant them there?
Sorry?
Why can't
It's a
you?
conservation
Yeah,
easement.
the conservation easement area is not supposed to do anything. That's the idea.
I have a description and pictures of the fence as well.
Typical wire deer fence, the 3-inch by 4-inch boxes.
Is the entire conservation easement on your property, or it's like half on, half off?
It's only it's a portion of it.
It's on one side.
It's the easterly side of the property.
But the entire 50 feet is like from...
It's 150 feet in the,
So 50 feet of the 150 feet is on your side? Like the fence is going to divide...
150 feet is entirely on my property.
Oh, okay. Got it. So now the entire 150 feet of conservation easement will be inside your fence?
Correct.
Got it.
I have no problem with this.
And was there a precedent that his neighbor has something of similar installation? Is that right?
Most
I'm
of
not
the
sure
town
if it's his neighbor. I know we've done it 2 or 3 times.
Did I hear...
So the property next to me, their fence goes all the way down to the line. What I think happened was when the deed, whatever, when it was subdivided, that's when this conservation was put in. I think I'm not.
So his
entirely
fence
sure.
might have predated that?
Correct.
Okay.
Jack, any thoughts?
No, as I say, it's been done in the past.
Yeah.
It makes sense, and I would just put those conditions in that you can't, put any other structures in. I would ask that, excuse me, if you have a plan, it could be put in the record.
Yeah.
To be constructed in accordance with the plan.
Could you submit a copy of that tonight for the record?
Sure. It's part, do you have it?
Yes,
It's all, when I submitted all the permits.
Okay, so you have it, Jeff?
Oh, right.
yes.
Okay.
Does it show plantings in the easement, though?
does not
It doesn't show
normalize.
plantings, it's just the fence line.
Okay, sounds good.
I have no problem with it. Anybody else have any issues with that?
I
Just
think
to
we
add
do
on,
that by motion tonight.
Sorry, Jeff.
I entertain a motion to approve a deer fence on 67 Charles Road.
Did Jeff want to say something?
yeah, just
Oh,
to add.
I'm sorry.
There's two stone walls on Mendon Road that had a similar type of easement.
Right.
And they wanted their walls to be closer to the right of way. So both these two neighbours came in and sought approval, the same as what's happening here, and that approval was.
Those are the two I was making reference to, yeah. So that's why I don't see an issue. You see any issue at all?
No.
Okay.
Quick question. When somebody applies for a variance, do they have to notify the neighbors that can see this thing?
Well, this isn't technically a variance.
Okay, got it. Very good.
Anybody else? I'll entertain a motion for 10A, deer fence at 67 Charles Road.
I'll second.
I need a
I'll make
motion.
Sure.
Moved by Ms. Samara. Second.
I'll second.
Second by Mr. Sullivan. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Ayes have it. There you go, sir.
Thank you.
Okay, 10B, request for additional high-speed internet providers.
I feel like we've seen this before.
Yeah.
It was initially
What can we do?
an email.
Aren't we we're at the mercy of Comcast?
We're at the mercy of whatever ISPs want to come in.
Yeah.
Does they come in and as they see the market opportunity here, or so do we, the gatekeepers, because IFI also do little different things and.
Yeah, I mean, certain areas can't get FiOS. I know the mountain's not available yet, but it's getting there. They brought some lines up. Ralph, have you ever been contacted by anybody to come in and propose?
Not recently, no.
All right, there's not really much we can do.
Why don't we just write a letter to Verizon and ask them what their plan is for high-speed internet in our town? It's a reasonable enough question. This guy seems to think that they're holding his area hostage, Verizon.
What area?
I don't know where he is, but he seems to think that there's fiber optic on the poles and they're not installing it. I don't know. His allegation was that Verizon's waiting for us to approve another cell tower before they put the FiOS in.
No, you held it. No.
But can we ask Verizon their plan just in a letter? Just say, what's your plan?
I have no problem with that. Who wants to write the letter?
Can you send Verizon a letter asking for their plan for high-speed internet in Bernardsville?
10C, Green Team, Deer Management, 2018-19 with resolution. Is that
It's deer hunting, I think.
Is that the same thing that I don't see Mr. English here tonight? Oh, is he? There he is. You were bundled in with Mr. Baker.
We never agree on anything. Except volunteers need help. So yeah, we would like to continue. And I don't mean we need help. We'd like to help you, and I think if you guys can help us, we can work together. So whatever makes it easier. I did submit this strike force thing from the Star Ledger. I was really surprised that we had a headline that favored us and said, deer management is needed. And then there was something well, there's another thing about a cyclist, but that's not too nice. Who was injured by a deer. Janet Waite, who most of you probably know, wrote and said, good luck tonight, Ed. So we're hoping you can approve the resolution that's before you that Anthony and I drafted with the help of the Somerset County Parks Commission.
Okay.
Any questions?
Is there a cost to the borough, Ed?
I'm sorry?
Is there a cost to the
borough?
borough?
No cost to the borough, no.
Okay.
That's the thing about volunteers.
It's the same company that we're using going back? Okay.
Yes.
Blue Ridge.
Blue Ridge?
Warren Blue Ridge.
Yeah.
And the same people, they go before the police department and they all get approved. And they all are told, and they have been for the past 2 years, alerted the police before they come to hunt. And so, everyone knows that. So it's worked very well. We haven't had any complaints, and they still want to do it. So I think it's good.
How many times a year do they do it?
Well, the dates have still not been set yet, but it's mid-September to mid-February.
Okay.
Roughly.
Any problems, council members?
Is this a gun club that's coming in?
It's the Warren Blue Ridge Hunt Club, yes.
The hunting club?
But
Okay.
the question was guns versus bow and
Oh,
arrow?
I'm sorry, it's bow and arrow, all bow and arrow.
All bow and arrow.
All bow and arrow from a stand 15 feet high.
Okay. Do I need to come up and speak on this, or?
Well, one second, we'll let Mr. English finish, and then we
Okay,
can.
sorry.
Okay, anything else, sir?
No, I'm fine.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
You have a question?
Yes.
Okay, come on up. State your name and address.
Jose Ortiz, 34 Prospect Street. I was just wondering if this was ever open to the residents of Bernardsville to participate in the hunt, or is this strictly gun clubs or archery clubs, or however you want to?
This goes back quite a number of years, and yes, that did come up as a question. We decided that it would be better to have a club, which I guess, can anyone join
Well,
that
I
club?
can answer that.
Oh, you're right, go ahead.
I mean, we had, there are many hunters in town, and they were very vocal at the beginning that they wanted to do it, and we shouldn't, because our club is from Warren Blue Ridge, and we went around about that for quite a while, but none of them came forward and said, we want to do it.
Oh, I want to do it.
A little late this year, but sure. I mean, you know, we told them, in fact, that was the situation then, that if they wanted to take it over, but they said, you know, well, we hunt on properties now, large properties, and we're happy doing it, but if we had to answer the phone calls from the residents, if we had to fill out the paperwork, forget about it.
Also, aren't Warren Blue Ridge is providing $2 million liability?
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
that's the only other thing. I mean, if
There's a liability cost for the.
there's,
Oh, sure.
well, insurance that's provided there, we're named as an insured.
Exactly.
Right, so whoever does it, it's gonna have to provide the liability coverage.
And also why these other people didn't really want to do it, they're so eager to work on these large estates with this more property. And, you know, the town doesn't have that much property, but it's important that we keep it going. So, and that's why we were lucky to get the Little Brook Sanctuary as well.
Would your groups accept residents of Bernardsville as members?
Yes, but they have to go through then the club, you know, training and so forth. Yeah, that's come on.
Okay.
Anytime after 10 o'clock, you come to my house and you can wrestle one to the ground. They don't even run away.
I promise
I have a pond and a drink. You don't need a bow. But yes, that is something that'd be great. If you're interested, you know, I guess next year, contact.
Yeah, we can.
Contact. Contact.
Or if you want to give me your, you know, phone number, and I can pass it on to the club, and
Yeah,
we can talk to them. Sure.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you.
Anything else to act on that, Jack, or no?
You need that acted on tonight, Ed?
You need that acted on tonight?
It says there's a resolution.
Yeah, okay.
Do we need to pass a resolution?
Is there a resolution attached to that?
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, sorry.
Good enough, okay. I'll pretend C, I'll, excuse me. What's wrong with it? Was it?
18-190.
18-190. Accept the motion to pass resolution 18-190 for the Green Team Deer Management for the year 2018-19.
I'll move.
Moved by Ms. O'Mara.
Second.
Second by Mr. Donahue. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. 10D, estimates for marine crest survey and wetlands delineation.
So John was nice enough to get us the amounts of money from the engineering company, and it comes to about $15,000. It's $7,200 for the boundary survey, $3,800 for the topographic, and $2,100 for wetlands delineation. Now, they recommended not doing the topographic till the fall after the leaves are off the tree. And then there's another $2,000 to survey the wetlands and flag and map. So it came to like $15,100.
Okay.
And we can't really do anything with marine crests until we get at least the outward surveyed.
Source of funds are from open space?
Be from open space.
Council members, any questions?
Is this in this year's budget?
It would be the open space.
The open space fund.
Fund.
But I'm saying, in terms of what we were planning to spend out of open space, is this incremental or included in what was originally planned?
Well, we pay as we go with that when instances come up, and there are sufficient funds.
There's sufficient funds?
$7.5 million now.
No, but this would come out of the maintenance portion, or would this come?
Maintenance, yes.
Yes.
So it's the smaller part of
Okay.
It's possible to make
There's still funds in it?
Yeah, I think it's
general part.
it's like 175,000.
Raincrest, until we get all those reports back, right now there's a lot of downed trees in there. There's a lot of dumping by neighbors. We're not even sure where the neighbor's yard ends and Raincrest begins.
Yeah, this is like the first step is saying, okay, what do we have here? And then you kind of go into
And then we
the
could go from
details
there.
of what can we do
One
with it.
side of it we can do, and it's dry.
Yeah.
We can do something nice. The other side, it's kind of wet, and we'd have to figure out how to do some kind of a bridge or a stairway to get up onto Mount Airy.
Do we need approval to release those funds, Jack? A vote?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. Any questions? No?
No.
Okay. Entertain a motion to approve $15,100 for the Marine Crest survey and wetlands delineation.
I'll move.
Moved by Mr. Donahue.
Second it.
Second by Mr. Sullivan. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Opposed? Okay, Pat. 10E, email regarding drivers texting and speeding. Who wants to talk about this one?
Who's the date of that email?
I don't have my iPad with me. I'm
It seemed to be
I have it.
it seemed to be with the whole Exxon issue as well.
The what issue?
The Exxon Mini Mart,
Oh,
wasn't it? A string of emails that
Yeah.
included
That's right.
it included issues
We
of.
also asked about this.
But we were highlighting for 10
July.
for 10E, we were just looking at a portion of that.
Yeah, because we can't do anything about the fire department.
I don't have it in front of me. I mean, if you sent it to me, it's been a while since we received that, but as I recall, it was just basically a general complaint about people speeding in town and driving around texting. We get these kinds of complaints all the time.
I recall that it was
Yes, it's like
a general complaint.
The general complaint on about Tiger Mart, and then the last bit was speeding and texting. You know,
So I forwarded that to the patrol lieutenant, and they were going to follow up on that and do what they could, so.
so we just forwarded to the
Specific response to that.
police knows, the police department know about it, there's nothing much the council can do. It's a matter of it being sent for public.
Can I just add something? So I didn't send that email, but.
So you need to come up and give
You
me
did
the.
send that email?
I did not. But that's why I was here. My name is Sad Bukai. I live on 13 Bernards Ave. I've been here for about 3 years, and you know, have noticed. I think the chief mentioned something about speeding. And the last 3 years, we've experienced drivers go up and down Bernards Ave, speeds excess of 50 miles an hour. My car was involved in a hit and run on July 21st. It was 10 in the morning. You know, car is easily fixable. It could have been my son. It could have been a neighbor. We've had this issue for a while now, and we were hoping, outside of just putting up speeding signs, is there any consideration into putting maybe speed bumps? I've had to put cameras outside my house just to, you know, see some crazy drivers pass up and down the road, and it's a nuisance. It's a quality of life issue. It's a life issue.
So Chief, I know you spoke to this earlier tonight. I know that there was a study recently in the last weeks, I think, about traffic study there.
We're analyzing the data now that we have. So this has been an ongoing issue. I don't know how long you've been on Bernards Avenue, but
About 3 years.
okay, so this has been an issue for 30 years. Okay. Bernards Avenue gets a lot of traffic from time to time. There's landfill traffic, recreational field traffic, in addition to some of the industrial traffic that travels to the industrial areas down at the ends of the Bernards Avenue extension. We've done a variety of interventions there. We've taken some proactive steps. We do run radar on Bernards Avenue. I don't know if you've seen, we have, from time to time, we deploy the electronic speed sign, the portable speed sign on Bernards Avenue. We put pedestrian safety messages on the electronic variable message board from time to time. We're looking at improving the signage that is already on Bernards Avenue to give some more visibility to drivers about slowing down and what the speed limit is. We've considered sidewalks over the years on Bernards Avenue. We've talked about speed humps on Bernards Avenue and speed bumps. You know, but every time this comes up, there's there's a lot of varied opinions as to the best way to deal with this, okay? I'll be happy, if you send me an email, I'll be happy to share some of the speed data with you, because, when you're standing along the side of the street, and a car goes by you at 25 miles an hour, which is the speed limit, you're gonna say, wow, that's fast. And it is fast. When you're standing alongside the road, and somebody comes by you at 25 miles an hour, it's fast. But we're not seeing the excessive speeds on the speed data that we collected, that when people say, oh, they're doing 50 to 60 miles an hour. Occasionally, yeah, there's some vehicles that are going way too fast. But it's not happening repetitively over and over and over again from the speed data that we've collected. Now, I'm not going to say that there haven't been vehicles that have gone 50 miles an hour on that street. Obviously, there probably are. I don't have the data right in front of me here. But what we do with that data is it gives us an idea of what the true realistic speeds really are, and the times that these offenses are occurring the most, so that we can deploy, radar enforcement during those times. And we're looking at that in combination with speed signs to hopefully try to make an impact on Bernardsville. The best thing that you can do when this is happening, or when you see this, call us. If you see that there's a lot of traffic, if there's maybe an event up at the rec field, or there's something going on, and there's a lot of traffic on that day, pick up the phone and say, hey, if you can do something about the speeders on our street, please, can you come run some radar? You'll get a response. Okay, we'll come and do that.
I think I'll be calling every 5-10 minutes. So.
Well, again, we have the speed data that shows, what the average speeds are, and that's a wide roadway. I know there's no sidewalks on that street. It is conducive to vehicles traveling, at 25 miles an hour or more, a little bit more, but up to how fast depends on a lot of different factors. The one thing that I would like to consider, and I'll bring it up now, but you brought it up because it was on my agenda to discuss with public safety, was the possibility, Jack, of a four-way stop at Garibaldi Street and Bernards Avenue. It's a completely self-contained road. We would need an engineering study, and a traffic engineer would have to come in and would have to certify as to the warrant for a four-way stop. Traditionally, four-way stops are not allowed to be used solely for speed control. Under the traffic guidelines, that's a no-no. But we've done similar things on Mullins Lane because there's other safety considerations that come into play, and we're not doing it solely for speed control. One of the factors that we would be looking at is something that comes up over and over again, particularly at the intersection of Garibaldi Street and Bernards Avenue, is the sight distance from streets entering Bernards Avenue from those two side streets. It's limited. So in order to deal with some of the sight distance issues where we can't create better sight clearance for a sight triangle and for visibility to enter Bernards Avenue, one of the alternatives I think would be a four-way stop. And that's something that was going to be, Mr. Schmidt, on the agenda next time public safety met, was to do that. But there is a cost associated with having an outside engineering firm come in and do the traffic warrants. And we're waiting for that on a couple of other streets with similar things. It's not, it's not inexpensive to have them come in and do that. But, if public safety wants to move forward with that, if we can find the funding for that, that may be a viable solution to help slow people down on Bernards Avenue. Quite frankly, I think it's better than speed humps and speed tables and signs. It forces people to come to a complete stop about halfway down that street. So, that may be a viable alternative.
Okay, so this is like the second incident we've had on Bernards Ave. I think 2 or 3 months ago, someone drove into a neighbor's fence around midnight.
I don't know what the cause of that.
But it's concerning. We walk there. We walk into town using Bernards Ave. What scares me is it could be an individual, it could be a person who can get hurt, it could be fatal.
Can I just add a couple of things? So one of the resolutions that we passed tonight is a technical assistance grant for that area that Doug and I worked on. So it's not a funding grant, but it's a grant where the New Jersey Transportation Authority would assist us with technical help to do that study. So their professionals would come and help us improve the walkability of Bernards Ave and the surrounding streets. So that application is submitted, the resolutions is being submitted after, which they said was okay to do. And if that goes forward, then great, then that would help us with the funding. But otherwise, we could also, you know, I like the four-way stop, I hear a lot too. Yeah.
We're going to have a second open session, so I don't want to encourage this right now. We're not going to go back and forth on these, but there'll be another open session. You can come up, okay?
Sorry.
All right. 10F, Board of Adjustment appointments. I don't have my iPad with me, so I don't know what the question is here.
There was
Good,
two
some names.
people who resigned, and we still haven't appointed anyone yet. So,
That's going to have to wait until the mayor gets back and...
But there are two people here that
Are there two? Are they? Yeah, but do we need the mayor for that or no?
No.
Okay.
and both of the people had submitted skills bank form and resumes. And also, two were the Board of Adjustment and one was for Shade Tree. So it's on page...
Shade Tree's a mayor's appointment.
Oh, so that one will have to wait.
Okay. Are the people here tonight?
I'm sorry?
Michelle Pinkerton and David Yale.
No, they're not.
They're not here, okay.
But their resumes are in the Dropbox.
Okay, is this something that we want to act on tonight?
I do, but if no one else does.
What are the names?
Michelle Pinkerton and David Yale.
David Yale?
Mhm.
Okay.
And this was just my review of their resumes and knowing that the Board of Adjustment right now is still lacking of people, and I think they're running into some issues with not having a quorum at some of their meetings.
Does anyone have objection to appointing Michelle Pinkerton and David Yale to the Board of Adjustment this evening?
You kind of have to abstain, and just don't know them, you know, or, you know.
Yeah, I didn't look at their... I didn't look
Okay,
at their,
well then we'll pass this for another meeting. I as well have not looked at it. And as much as it's going to be detriment to them, we'll have to wait for the next meeting.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think that it's them that it's a detriment to, but I think, you know, that it's been a while and no one's on, you know, those two empty spots. So I don't want to leave these committees with no people.
I understand. We'll have to put that to September 10th.
Mhm.
Okay, 10G, Team Campbell Foundation. Why don't you?
I got it, barely walk. Thank you. I presented to all of you, well, you should have it, just what we do every year. So Team Campbell Foundation was founded after Campbell lost her battle to cancer at the age of 8. It's been 4 years, and 4 years ago, the council recognized September as Pediatric Cancer Awareness Month. So every year I come before you guys just to once again ask for approval for the 30 days in September to turn the town gold, which includes signs along some of the property that the town owns, as well as gold ribbons around some of the trees by the center of town and over by the school itself. The rest of the signs are actually on private property or in business windows, but it's to hear for approval once again to try to turn the town gold for September.
I think it's great. Anyone have any issues?
I'm fully in favor. Yeah.
Fantastic, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
10H, tables at Alcott Square and Millicent Fenwick statue.
So earlier, last month, if you look, I don't know if you looked at page 136 of the agenda package, but Olcott Square Park is the center of town where the Christmas tree usually goes. And a few residents who had visited Cranford had noticed what they did in their similar type of park, and that was put little bistro tables. So I looked into the sizes, and I asked Anthony to reach out to the insurance professional as to whether we could do that. I also, considering that that location may not be the best spot due to the traffic volume that's there, proposed a second location, which is Millicent Fenwick Park, which is where Millicent Fenwick is. So the area that the bistro table requires, it's just 2 little chairs and a little table, 70 by 94 inches. And both of those spots have enough room. So this was just kind of to see how you all feel about something like that, and if it's something worth pursuing. I have a business in town who would donate the tables.
What's the tables, what's it for? This is like a temporary or?
Are they masonry, or are they like just those metal ones?
Well, so that was another issue, which is what, and this is where I would probably ask Doug Walker for his professional expertise on, but what would you want them to be made out of? And it would be something temporary that we just do for like summer and fall and then take them down, or whatever the case may be. But it's just an added walkability feature. A lot of people like to walk to the farmer's market, they like to walk to town and grab a sandwich and eat it outside. And it is doable.
So it's like a picnic type of thing?
Small, you know,
Yeah.
just sit there and...
Okay.
People
Do you have a cup of coffee?
Yeah. I feel Alcott Square is like sitting in traffic, kind of. It's, you know.
I mean, I
But
love
Nelson
sitting in
Fenwick is-
traffic, but...
I would worry about Alcott too, in case anyone needs traffic, you know?
I like sitting in traffic, and to be honest, it's a traffic calming, like a proven way to calm traffic. And, you know, I'm sorry.
I would worry about people sitting there and
Well,
someone.
so the insurance said, you know, obviously the better location is Millicent Fenwick, obviously.
Would there be
So
room for 1 table or 2 at Millicent Fenwick Park?
Probably 1. And, you know, I don't,
I think it has aesthetic appeal. I like the idea.
Yeah, Fenwick, it just, it's something to see how it works. I mean, if it's, you know.
Doug, any input? I heard your name.
Yeah, I think the Fenwick area would be the better, you know.
Okay.
That was the feedback from insurance as well.
Right.
You have the parked cars in front of the curb there.
Yeah.
So to protect the folks sitting in the evening, there's a little bit of a buffer there.
Right. Okay.
so if you, I don't know if you saw this, but from risk management, if borough were to choose one location over another, it would be Fenwick Park. And they went through some of the terms of our property insurance, and damage and theft are possibilities as always, and it would be covered under our property deductible or whatever.
Meaning that if we lost it, they wouldn't pay us
Which
because
is possible, yeah.
it's less than the value of the
Right.
deductible.
Right. So, I mean,
Okay.
Chris, there's somebody raising
Yeah,
their hand.
Ms. Thompson.
Yeah, the library had at one point 2 quite beautiful teak benches. They disappeared overnight, one night, and I mean, since then, we've fastened them down, the replacements.
where were they located?
Next, in front of the library.
Because that's kind of a hidden
Heavy
spot too.
teak benches.
I mean, that's kind of hidden, like, there's not any.
And we've lost patio furniture too at the library. I mean, it sounds like a lovely idea, but if you can't fasten, and you obviously can't fasten down bistro chairs because people are going to want to move them back and forth.
Chief, is there a camera that points to Millicent Fenwick?
I don't think we have any cameras at the library facility at this point.
Millicent
No, but
Fenwick.
at the train station.
Millicent Fenwick, not in that particular area, they're mostly around the building and in the parking lot.
Want to look into this further?
I will.
Okay.
Yeah, let's investigate it further, see if there's something we
But
can
you
do.
don't oppose to the idea?
I'm not opposed to it.
No.
You donate a masonry table with like a checkerboard on top of it?
Well,
Let's go for big ass.
Yeah. So, 10I, Animal Cruelty Task Force. Anyone here to speak to that tonight?
I can.
Okay.
You see in your packet, the chief and I have had some correspondence, and the state law was recently amended to provide that each governing body, municipal governing body, shall submit at least one applicant for designation as a municipal humane law enforcement officer. Chief, maybe you can pick it up from there. I know the chief initially designated one of his officers, but the law does require that it be the governing body.
So have you shared any of the correspondence, Jack, with
Yeah, it's in the packet.
Because I don't get the packet, that correspondence, so I'm not sure. But the long and the short of it is the law has changed, and I understand there's some revisions that are being made. Okay. Did you see that email that I sent?
Yes.
So I don't know that we need to act on it tonight until that's done, but from what I understand is the council now has to appoint an animal cruelty investigator. Where it used to be responsibility of the state, SPCA did it. They've now disbanded the SPCA, and they've given their responsibility to the county prosecutors. In our case, the county prosecutor has delegated that responsibility to the municipalities, which I think is common, quite frankly, across the state. So it's been left up now to the police to provide animal cruelty investigators unless the town specifically appoints somebody else for that purpose. That particular title is controlled by the Police Training Commission in the state. They do have to be specially trained and certified. So our officers would have to receive that training, although they are statutorily empowered to enforce those laws right now. To obtain that title, they would have to obtain training. It's not the same full training class. It's an abbreviated class from what I understand in order to get that title. So we would need to impose an ordinance, I guess, or pass an ordinance instituting that position, instituting it in the police department. I would suggest that we have 2 trained investigators, not only one, and that when these types of cases come up, that they be referred to the police department, who will work with the assistant prosecutor of the county, who has been put in charge of this for the entire county as a prosecutor designated to be responsible for overseeing the animal cruelty investigations in Somerset County. Or a problem that comes up is housing animals that are seized as evidence, seized for general welfare purposes, who's going to pay for that, where they're going to be housed. I've talked briefly with our animal control officer. ACS does not offer the service of an animal cruelty investigator. You know, we would have to work with them, possibly with housing or taking control and custody of any animals. Obviously, there could be expenses associated with that. From what I understand, some of these cases drag on for months and months, and animals have to be boarded during that time because they're basically evidence in the case. But this is all new. This is all very new. But we have a little bit of time. I think I have to go back and review that email, Jack, and see what it said. But I know
have to do an ordinance.
What's that?
You do not have to do an ordinance itself. The statute is
okay, so we don't have to do an ordinance, but I know there's going to be some revisions, I think, to the statute, from what I understand.
Yes.
So
it wasn't very well thought out.
So do we need to do it now, or?
I think
for right now, we've appointed 2 police officers to the prosecutor's office as our liaisons for this program. They've been attending some trainings and meetings, so we're kind of filling in the gaps in the meantime, but we do need to move forward and decide what we want to do there. There may be some issues with the union about this. This is a new law enforcement responsibility that's being placed on officers, so there may be some items that would need to be negotiated as part of our collective bargaining agreement. But it is statutorily required, so I don't know where that comes into play, but we'll have to wait and see about that as well. That's all I know about it right now.
Will we revisit this, Jack?
Yeah, let's include it. September 10th agenda.
Okay. All right, 10J, the Borough newsletter. I know we looked at a sample of this last meeting or the one before.
It's free, I think we should do it.
Yeah, I mean, we talked about it. Did we say we would think about it and move it over to this meeting?
Is that what we said? What did we say? I think we just I thought we moved this forward already. I'm actually surprised to see it
Going
again.
ahead, it was
We
free.
saw a sample of it, I thought we said it was okay.
Yeah, I think we did. I thought we.
They said that they will now mail it to everybody, because at one point they were just gonna put it into businesses. Now
Okay.
they're saying that they have enough, that they'll cover the postage and mailing fees, and they're gonna mail it out to everybody. And
Good.
they wanted to know if you wanted it distributed quarterly, 3 issues, or 2 issues per year. At the borough, we may decide on the frequency. So,
2 or 3 then?
whichever you want.
3?
Spring, fall, winter, yeah. Warm, fall, cold.
If they're taking cover of, responsibility for it, what do most municipalities do?
It doesn't really say what, I can ask him what most do. He doesn't really say here, he says it's up to the borough.
I think 3 seasonally, I guess in the fall, it gets cold and you're warm again, your mindset changes, so.
Okay.
I have no problem with that.
It's okay with me.
So we're saying 4?
4.
Oh,
I thought it was 2 or 3.
I'm sorry. He said quarterly, 3, or 2.
Oh, quarterly, right?
Oh, there's.
Yeah, it says if your choices would be quarterly, 3 issues, or 2.
So spring, summer, winter, fall.
Well, right, because it's for the season.
So quarterly, if they're doing it.
Quarterly, yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
Do it.
10K, want to talk about that?
10K, we visited that one already.
Yeah.
10L, Deputy Zoning Officer.
Yes, Renee has gone to zoning courses at Rutgers and became certified zoning official in May of this year. So what I'm requesting is that you could temporarily appoint her as the deputy zoning officer when I'm on vacation. These zoning permits that I get are time sensitive. They have to be approved within 10 days. And as it so happens, I'm going to be out of town for 10 days in September.
Okay. Anybody have any problem with Renee being the Deputy Zoning Officer when Mr. Price is not available?
I don't.
Jack, what do we need to do that?
I think, do we have time to do it September 10th? When are you going away?
The day after Labor Day, was that 3rd, 4th?
Yeah, I guess we should appoint her this evening then. As I understand, there's no additional compensation.
That is correct.
What's Renee's last name?
Apuzzo.
Apuzzo.
A-P-U-Z-Z-O.
Okay. I'll entertain a motion to appoint Renee Apuzzo, the Deputy Zoning Officer.
I'll move.
Moved by Mr. O'Day,
I'll second.
second by Ms. Amara. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. 10, thank you. 10M correspondence. Is there correspondence? I don't know.
Yeah, there's a few things. There's 3 letters that we have. One is from citizens, concerned citizens of Claremont Road.
Oh, I see. I'm listening right here. So, yep, okay.
Take a look at that, yeah. Take a look at that letter if you want to see it.
So, I didn't look, I'm looking through 3 of them so far. They're all about this vacant lot across the town, no?
The last 2 are just bike rides that they're gonna have, that's pretty much a routine, they've done those in the past.
No, I'm sorry. Yes, I know, but I'm talking about,
The
the
letters.
letters are just for about this
I'm sorry.
Claremont Road for the,
There's a couple letters all about the same issue.
Yeah, same issue.
There are a few letters, you're right.
okay, letters about the vacant lot across from, I guess, the former, the boat building there.
Yeah.
Okay.
Can we just write a letter, Anthony, say that the council's requesting that the owner of the property make sure that all appropriate and necessary safety considerations are in place with those properties? I don't know, is there any kind of enforcement thing that?
Yes, 2 violation notices have been written.
Okay.
They're not in your packet because they were written this month.
Okay.
One to each property owner. And what we're requesting is that they put up a 6-foot construction fence around the complete lot. And if they get together and talk nicely, then you'll get one. If they won't do that, then you'll get two separate fences.
So, I mean, for the borough's perspective, I mean, is a 6-foot construction fence that could be there for months or years something that's desirable? I understand from a safety perspective we want it, but can we also ask the property owner about?
Breaking ground and moving along.
Well, my understanding from the letters is that it's been a year or more that it's been like this?
It says a year.
Right. Yeah, in the beginning, those two lots were going to be merged, and there was going to be one building with 4 condos on it. Something happened to the relationship, so now the two... I'm trying to be as politically correct.
Very good, very good.
So now those two property owners came back to the board, and they both received approval to do 2 and 2.
Okay.
Resolutions came out 3 weeks ago. So there's nothing holding them back now from a borough perspective. There may be some outside agencies that require some permits. But they should be getting going soon.
When did you send them the letter to erect the fence?
These letters are dated 8/8.
Okay.
With violations to be abated this week.
Okay.
I talked to Mr. Rossi this morning. He's aware of the letter and he's going around.
Okay, so they'll be abated this week, and if not, there'll be a fine?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
We good with that one?
Yeah.
All right.
So you don't need me to write a letter, right?
No, it doesn't sounds, I didn't realize it was already, it's already getting worked.
Okay.
And we can't write back to the residents because they're just,
Yeah, it's a group.
which,
The Grand Fondo Bicycle Tour, we've done that before, so anyone have any issues with that?
My understanding is public roads, we just do the normal stuff and they get allowed to go, right, chief?
Yeah, the Grand Fondo, they've done, this is a repeat customer, they come every year, we don't have any problems, they normally coordinate very well with us. I don't specifically have any knowledge of the Grand Fondo as far as them being in contact with us, but year after year, there's no problems with them, they're easy to deal with.
I think both of these are good ideas.
Yeah, similar with the MS Country Challenge, no issues
That
there.
one I know that we have been in contact with them, you know, everything is all set, and they talked with Lieutenant Remy about the safety precautions that they're going to put in place for that, so I don't have any problem with either. As long as we have the certificates of clearance and whatnot.
Okay.
They normally provide those as a courtesy, we don't require them, but in some events they do hire police officers, and in some cases, then Grand Fondo normally hires one. With the intersection of 202 and Douglas, they've done that every year, and they always provide us with the appropriate paperwork.
Right.
There's no problem with it.
Okay, good.
I approve them both by resolution. I don't think formal approval is required.
Okay.
Okay.
Do we have resolutions to
Or a
approve?
motion, I mean, I'm sorry.
Our motion?
A motion.
Okay, so I entertain a motion to approve both the Grand Fondo Bicycle Tour and the MS Country Challenge. Have a motion? Moved by Mr. Donahue,
second.
second by Ms. Amaro. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Only good.
Anthony, can you make sure I get the Grand Fondo?
I will.
Open session.
Yes.
Anyone have any energy left?
I'm not coming back up, but I just want to second what John Bell commented on. Kathy Redling is doing a fantastic job managing a very difficult road construction job on Mine Mount Road. She's out there, you know, well before the men start, making sure the signs are in place, and she's been very helpful to all of us who are trying to weave our way in and out around those giant pieces of equipment to get home or get out. She's been terrific.
Thank you.
Anybody else? Okay, with that, we're going to go into closed session. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
We are going to come out next.
Oh, we are. We will come out. Yes. Forgot that.
Okay, I'll entertain a motion to direct the borough attorney to draft an ordinance repealing ordinance 15-1699 based on the fact that the quarry is an integral part of our fair share housing obligation area and from the comments of the public in tonight's meeting.
I move.
Moved by Mr. O'Day, second by Mr. Donahue. Roll call? Or just a vote?
Let's do a roll call.
Roll call.
Mr. Donahue?
Yes.
Mr. O'Day?
Yes.
Mr. Schmidt?
Yes.
Mr. Sullivan?
I'm abstaining.
Mrs. Mara?
Yes.
I will have that for this.
Do you want me to give a reason why I'm abstaining? Does it
No,
necessarily?
that's fine.
Okay.
Okay, thank you, everybody.
Thank you.